Playing No Limit Hold'em tonight. Blinds are 2-2. It's an $80 restricted game, and it's a lot of fun. The $80 game is wild and crazy. And I will get into the World Poker Tour Invitational and the travesty that was my game later on. But before we do that, let's get right to the action. In seat 1, we've got Sylvester. Good old Sylvester. Seat 1, we got Sylvester. There he is. Seat 2, we've got Ryan. Seat 3, we've got Thomas. And Thomas is with CardSharks.com, and they made those That's Alan t-shirts. Pretty cool. Dave there in seat 4, also with CardSharks.com, and obviously also made those That's Alan t-shirts. Seat 5, we've got Garland. And Garland's pretty orange today. Garland is 2+2. Name is also Garland, for those of you who watch us on 2+2. Seat 6, we've got good old Dan. Seat 7, we have Jay.
Chips, 00.
Good guy, Jay is. Jay actually sat behind me last night in the World Poker Tour Invitational for a good part of the first 3 or 4 levels. Kind of sweated me as I built my chip stack up. Seat 8. Seat 8, we've got Clayton. And there's Clayton wearing the... Is that a fart hat there? What does that say? No, it's the Fast and Furious. I thought it was the Fart and Furious. I didn't know what that was. Seat 9, we've got Derek. Derek's new to the show there. Ocean SoCal. Derek. And we're playing this game with $2 chips. Blinds are 2-2. And because of that, the action is usually pretty fast and furious. Should be a fun game. The $80 game is usually a lot of fun. And with that, let's get to our first hand. The button is in seat 5. And I'm going to be doing at least the first part of this show by myself. Bart is very short stack, though, so he could be here at any moment. Let's see, the first flop is Queen, 7 deuce. We got a couple of clubs out there. And I'm looking around here. Seat number 3, Thomas there. He's got 7-6, so he has second pair. And he's going to take a shot at it. And I don't think anybody has a queen here, so he should take this down. We've got a new feature. If you check out the board there, check it out. It's pretty cool there. Thomas is a 68% favorite to win the hand, and he takes it down. We have put in the percentages, folks. Pretty cool. I'm really excited about that. And you'll be seeing new features. Like I said, we always are trying to add new technology to make this show more enjoyable for you and easier for us. And it's a new feature of Live at the Bike, where the percentages are going to be told right away. And at the end of the hand, you'll actually see a W on the hand that is the winning hand if it is shown down. Pretty cool there. Dave there with Ace-King in seat 4. Ace-King offsuit. See if we get a raise. Now you see Dave there, he just rebought for $120. Now if you go down to felt, you can rebuy up to $120. And Dave is going to raise it up to $12, and I don't think he's going to get called in any spot. We'll see. Wow, but seat 5 is actually called with Ace-3 of diamonds. That's Garland. And seat 8's going to call, and seat 1's going to call. And we got quickly a $50 pot. Flop is 7-6-5 Rainbow. Clayton has got overcards plus the gut shot. Garland's got a gut shot, but he's got the bottom end of it. And there's a 9. Now Garland's picked up the nut flush draw, but Clayton has the best hand here right now at 9-10. And Sylvester's going to bet, though. Sylvester's got Jack-10. He has got a gut shot. He needs an 8 here to win this pot. Obviously, a Jack would also do it. And look at the percentages there, folks. Clayton, an overwhelming favorite here, 54%. Garland, 32%. Sylvester, the original better there, is only 15%. And wow, look at that. Clayton has moved all in for an additional... For an additional 2 chips only. So we've quickly got about a $140 pot, folks. And the river is the 4 diamonds, and look at that. Garland has made the nut flush there. Backs into it.
Okay, how about you, sir?
And Garland's going to win this.
Save it, Garland. Save it.
And
show your card.
Garland puts some money out there, but obviously Sylvester's not going to call. And Garland takes it down with the nuts here. Takes down about a $150 pot. Kind of funny, Garland goes by Garland on 2+2. If you want to follow us, you can go to 2plus2.com, go to Live at the Bike. Go to World Poker Tour and other events. Then click on the Live at the Bike thread for February 20. I want to say February 23rd, is it already? Yeah, it is, February 23rd. and follow along with us. I do check it out. It's really cool. And Garland is Garland, and Garland looks like he's got a lot of money from him. Most of these players, they stack their chips in 20 chip stacks there. So each one is about $40. And it looks like he's got probably 7 stacks. So probably got close to $280 in front of him. Not bad for an $80 buy-in game.
Okay. How about you, big one?
Get a raise here at a seat 9.
All right, he raised it. $14.
And that is Derek. He's going to raise it up ace queen.
Exactly.
And nobody's going to call him. He's going to take it down. And the button moves over to seat 8. Small blind is $2. That's Derek. Big blind is Sylvester, also $2. Under the gun is Thomas. He's first to act. And Derek's got ace-king in the small blind. He's got ace-king suited here. Let's see how he plays this here. Limp in from seat 4. That's Dave. Get a limp in from seat 8 on the button.
Raise it.
That's Clayton. And it looks like Derek is going to raise this. Out of the small blind with ace-king suited.
How much are you behind? 80. He's behind 80. He raised it, made it $12. For you, another 5 chips.
Actually, I take that back. I'm sorry. Clayton actually raised it up on the button with ace-8 here. He made it $12 to go. He doesn't have chips right now. He's playing behind $80. And Don is actually getting the chips for him.
Anything else for you, too?
And it looks like Derek is just going to call.
Chips, 00. Are they on the way?
And it does not look like anybody else is going to call. And we quickly have about a $30 pot.
What do you do with some chips? Me?
And they're working out chips here now. I apologize for the delay.
Yeah, that's 40 for you from C5, okay? So we'll have you pay this, and now he's going to re-raise.
Oh, there we go. Okay. I do apologize for that. Clayton actually raised without chips.
Re-raise.
He put in $12.
$30.
And Derek is going to re-raise another $20, and he's going to take it down.
Yeah.
Boy, I butchered that hand, didn't I?
You on C5, $40, man.
Then we move on. Once again, we are live at the bike. I'm David Tuckman. Doing the show by myself. I will get into why I'm doing the show by myself. But basically because I suck. But besides that, we are watching No Limit Hold'em. Blinds are 2 and 2. And it's $80 buy-in game. Button is in seat 9. That's Derek. Seat 2 is sitting out right now, so the big blind is actually Thomas in seat 3.
Raise it to $8.
If you want to email us, you can email us at live@thebike.com. I do read them. A little more difficult for me to get to the emails tonight while I'm doing the show by myself. But once again, Bart is short stacked and he might be back here any minute. See how much faith I have in my co-commentator. Pocket 3's there for seat 7. That's Jay.
$40. How much? 40.
Ace Queen here for seat 4.
There you go, sir. Thank you for that. You want to call the $3 rate yet?
And
3 players.
without Donna there, I have no idea what's going on. I think it was a raised pot. I believe Dave raised it up $12. Got called in 2 spots.
Make it 16.
Dave makes bet $16 here. He missed the flop completely, but Jay has a trouble calling there with pocket 3's. And I can't imagine Thomas calling this either. We'll see what happens. And Thomas does not call, and the continuation bet by Dave takes it down. He takes down about a $36 pot. Let's see what we got here. Emails. Jason Lee wanted to know if there's a show tonight. There is a show tonight, obviously. Clay Horning, help me, please. Guys, I need help. Okay, well, I will get to this later, Clay. I do apologize.
Next hand, you guys will be the blinds. Take back your chips. Yeah, if he's buying the button.
Tell me, guys.
And C1 wants to be dealt in.
Freebie, huh?
C2.
I would like to put a kick at the flop.
And C2 is going to buy the button. Now, when you miss your blinds in no limit hold'em or any limit hold'em, if you miss your blinds, you can buy the button if you're next to act. So all you got to do is pay the small blind and the big blind. So in this case, it's $4, and then you get to you get the button next hand. And Seat 3 makes it $8 with pocket sevens. Actually, I apologize. Seat 7, Jay, has made it $8 with pocket eights. Let's see if Thomas calls him with sevens. And see if Sylvester. Sylvester's going to call too. Sylvester's got a suited jack. Jack 7 suited here. That'll probably bring Thomas into the hand. Can't see Ryan's hand. Ryan's got Queen 9 here, offsuit, and he's going to call too. And we've quickly got a multi-way pot. Oh, and that's going to bring in Seat 4, who also has Queen 9. Oh, and it's 5 ways times $8. We've got a $40 pot. And the flop is ace, 6, deuce. And believe it or not, in a raised pot 5 ways, nobody has the ace. Nobody has a 6, and nobody has a deuce. And the best hand is Jay, and you can see the percentages there. Jay is an overwhelming favorite. New feature of Live at the Bike, we're going to give the percentages of winning hands here. And Jay takes it down. And the reason there, you're wondering why it said 0% next to the Queen 9. And the reason why it was 0%, it was because it was 0% of winning the hand. Because the other Queen 9 was in the hand. And if they both stay in, obviously they would have chopped the pot. So it wouldn't be a win. And those percentages are clearly just a win. If you're curious of your own percentages, let's say you've got a hand and you're playing online and you're wondering what the percentages are, you can check out the Pokulator on liveatthebike.com. Pretty cool stuff. Anyway, long story short, told shortly here. Started with 10,000 chips last night in the World Poker Tour Invitational. I built my stack up to about 34,000 and somehow found a way to lose. We played with 30-minute rounds. And, yeah, Isaac's making some sort of donking noise at me. I guess referencing that I donked him off. I was at an interesting table, though. The players that I joined the table with, Daniel Negreanu was at my table, Carlos Mortensen was at my table, Tony G was at my table, Nick the Takeover Schulman was at my table. It was quite a night, I must say. A lot of fun, though. I had a lot of fun. But obviously, I hate losing.
Raise it.
And Derek's going to raise it up with Jack 10 offsuit here. There's also Louis Asmo. He's at my table. He won the World Series $3,000 limit hold'em. He won a World Series bracelet in 1997. And pretty impressive there. And Derek makes it 16 more to go here. Original $8 bet. And Derek's going to raise it up with top pair. And Thomas is going to play. And you look at the odds there. Derek's an 81% favorite. But he is not. Thomas is not going to call. And Derek takes it down. Well played by Derek. Get an email from David McQueen. Thank you for the volume. Just like to say thanks for bringing back the volume control. We appreciate it. It's all Isaac. All the credit in the world goes to him. 0 to me, of course. And there we go. Just so you guys know, I'm sure you guys do know on 2+2, Denny Williams is still in the Live at the Bike. It's still in the World Poker Tour Invitational, and so is Bart Hansen.
$21.
Yes. $7.
And Sylvester raises it up $21, and he takes it down. And if anybody was checking out cardplayer.com, they saw that I knocked out Cheryl Hines from Curb Your Enthusiasm. Kind of an interesting pot. Most of you guys will probably think I got lucky on that hand, but I will say that by the time I got lucky on her, she had actually gotten very lucky on me. And the pot was about 19,000 chips already. So I think it was like 19,000. They misquoted it just a little bit. It was like pot was about 19,000 chips, 3,000 for me to call. When I did call. But having said that, obviously I did get lucky.
Let's gamble it up again.
Garland with pocket nines in seat 5. He's in a small blind. We'll see how he plays it.
$26.
But Silvestro's moved all in for $26 with pocket threes.
I need one caller.
And he says he wants only one caller.
Every time but once.
Well, I guess with pocket threes, you either want one caller or like 8 callers.
That bad of a mistake. Let me tell you that.
Well, I figured that. I call one of those guys to call.
And Dave throws it away. And Garland might call this, and I think Garland's going, and he does. Wow.
There we go.
You have custom.
And Garland raises it up here,
Sylvester.
offering protection here.
Gave you protection, no?
Really only protecting his own hand. And Dan's put the test here. Is Dan going to put all his money with ace-jack offsuit? Now, he's got to realize that at best, he's 50-50. At worst, he's badly dominated. He easily could be up against queens, kings, or he could be up against ace-king or ace-queen. In this case, he's probably more like 50-50. But with some dead money in there, if he thinks he's up against 2 smaller pocket pairs, he might want to gamble. Thanks for the crackhead here. Evening, everyone. So Luckbox Tuckman is going to fly solo tonight. Hey, you know, I got to own up to it here. Eat a little bit of humble pie tonight. And look at that. Dan is going to call here, and we're going 3 ways. All the money is in. I'm trying to get the total pot here. It looks like the total pot is about $140. The main pot is only about $70, but then there's another $70 in the side pot. Oh, wow. Look at that. Ace-Jack, Dan has flopped a straight. Flop is King, Queen, 10. And if we can get the percentages up there in a second. Oh, my gosh.
Ace. Come on.
And we need an ace there to chop it up, and that's it.
Give it an ace. 4. Oh.
Yeah, and you see the percentages of winning the pot there. It was 0-0, and Dan obviously had a 93% chance because he could only chop it if he could not lose the pot there. And Dan takes down what amounts to about a $150 pot. Doubles up there. Actually doubles up and some.
Next time I do it, I know. Jack Johnson's like better.
So I gotta tell you, it was interesting playing with Tony G last night. It was interesting when Negreanu and Carlos Mortensen were also at the table. They kind of kept Tony G in check. And although every single pot was raised, none of them would kind of get out of line because the other player was there to keep them in check. But then once Mortensen got knocked out by Negreanu, and then Negreanu got knocked out, Tony G was kind of just left to run the table over. And I mean, when I say run the table over, he was raising 8 out of 9 hands. And it was one of those tables where if you got a lot of hands, you were going to make a lot of money. And if you did not get hands, it was tough to play hands. Tough to play.
Raise it.
Jack 10, Jack 9. Those are good hands. 3 or 4 way all in.
You don't want ace jack.
Make it $12.
You lucky I'm short stack.
Derek raises it up to $12 here. A pretty aggressive player. Seat 9. Makes it $12 with pocket threes. And the only problem with raising it up with pocket threes in a game like this, you got to remember the blinds are 2 and 2. If you get called, you're in bad shape because you have no idea where you're at. And unless you hit your set, what are you going to do?
2 players.
Now, he does have position. I believe the button is in seat 5. And it's 2 players here. The pot's $26. Now, this is one of those times here you have no idea where you are in Derek, and Derek's got to pretty much just blindly throw money in the pot when Dan checks him. Now, he is a big favorite, but it's hard for him to know that. Oftentimes in a smaller game like this, unless the game is passive, oftentimes in a game like this, I might limp in with threes. I want 4 or 5 people to call, and if I hit my set, I can win a big, big pot. But another way to play it, obviously, if it's a passive game, you hear Bart and I also always talk about raising in position, take control of the pot, and if your opponent misses, and he's somewhat passive, you can often take the pot away from him regardless of what the flop is. As long as he misses, basically. I got a little bit of a sore throat. I'm going to kill Bart if I get his cold.
Raise $8.
Pot sweeten that?
Right.
And seat 1, Sylvester's going to make it $8 with pocket queens.
Or you mean like put like 2 chips out there?
Chips. That's what I wanted you to put.
And seat 4,
Maybe 3.
it's Davey's going to call with 9, 8, 10 suited.
2 is like.
And Dan is going to call with King Jack.
Uh-oh.
And that's going to bring Clayton in there with 5-3 offsuit.
No, I didn't say anything.
And the flop is Jack, Jack 7.
Definitely.
5-3 offsuit is going to check.
Continuation bet.
And now Dan has flopped trips. Let's see how he plays it here. You can see Dan is a 76% favorite here. Dave can still win the hand. He has a backdoor. He has a gut shot straight draw here. Needs a 9. He also has backdoor flush draw. But he is not going to get involved. Sylvester has bet $29 into the pot.
Looking at me like so.
And Dan is going to raise it. Wow, we always talk about fast playing your trips. I like the play here by Dan. If you only smooth call your opponent, what are your opponent going to put you on? Remember, there's no real straight draw out there. There's no flush draw out there. You basically have a jack or 7. You're not going to get much more action out of your opponent.
It's so obvious you have a jack.
What Sylvester says, it's so obvious you have a jack.
That was extra little.
Oftentimes in these small games, people play it straightforward.
Yeah.
But Sylvester says it's so obvious you have a jack, and he still moves all in.
Jack's jack?
Wow. Well, it's very similar to my hand last night, obviously, against Cheryl Hines. She had ace-jack, and I had... Oh, wow, there's quads.
See you later.
And Sylvester is drawing dead, folks. Wow. He hits everything there.
Overkill? Yes.
A little bit of overkill there, folks.
Wow. Oh, sweet. Nice hand. Wow.
Now, anybody wondering what happened last night, actually, I had raised out of the blind to about, I want to say, 1,500 chips. After it was raised originally by, I want to say, either Carlos Mortensen and Negrano. They were raising every other hand. And I raised out of the big blind 1,500 queens. Got called by Negrano. He called every single pot. Also got called by Mortensen, actually, and then got called also by Cheryl Hines. Flop came out Jack 4-4. I then bet 5,000 into the pot. The pot was about 6,000. I bet 5,000 into it. Both Mortensen and Negrano folded, and Cheryl Hines thought about it for about 5 minutes. I mean, she literally was tormented. So I really thought maybe there's a chance she had like 9s or something. So I figured, an actress, she's not that experienced. I figured she'd be more likely to call quickly with a jack. I didn't think she'd be able to get away from it. Well, eventually she called, and this brought the pot to about 16,000.
$16.
Then the turn brought a jack. Okay, I checked to her, and she moves all in for another, say, 3,200 chips. At that point, I looked at my chip stack. I said, well, I've got 7,000 here. If I call and I lose, I'll have 4,000. If I fold it, I'll have 7,000. I figured there wasn't that much of a difference, and if I'm right, I got this big pot here, or if I get lucky. And obviously, I was wrong. She had the jack, and I got lucky. Raise here from Dan, and he takes it down. He wins himself $3.50. Congratulations. One of my strategies into last night's tournament was not to survive. I mean, there are some tournaments where when you get 2-hour-long rounds, and they're paying 36 spots, or in the case of, say, the World Series of Poker main event where they're paying, I want to say, 500 spots. Survival is definitely a key. You can't win that tournament in the first couple of days. So you really do want to survive a little bit. But in a tournament that's a free roll, like last night's tournament, we started with 10,000 chips. But the rounds were only 30 minutes long, and they would double each time. So it would go from 100, 200 with a 25 ante to 200, 400 with a $50 ante, and then so forth. And only the top 6 spots get paid. So if you finish in 7th place, you're literally playing for about 16 hours, 17 hours, and you make nothing. And I really didn't care about just lasting. I wanted to, I was aiming for first place. Figured I'd gamble a little bit, and obviously it backfired.
Option. Wow. 3 players.
Queen, 6, 9, all hearts here. Now, Dan has got an open-ended straight draw, but he does not have a heart in his hand. It's one of those hands you don't really want to get involved with. Ryan's got top pair with a king kicker, and Thomas has got second pair, and now the 4th heart comes out there. Let's see what happens here. And now, I want to say Thomas is actually going to bet with the Jack 9. I'm really surprised Ryan didn't take a shot at it with King Queen. But I guess he just got scared there. And now the Ace of Hearts comes out. That's the ultimate scared card. Dan is not going to get involved. I don't think Ryan can call this either, even though Ryan's a commanding favorite. But he throws it away, and Thomas takes it down. I mean, I understand if you have King Queen on that flop, I'm understanding you don't want to take much heat. But why not throw a little bit of a bet out there and see where you are? Real interesting. I will tell you one thing about last night's tournament, in kind of criticism of myself, something I need to work on. Obviously, I play predominantly no-limit cash games. And playing with a maniac that raises every hand is kind of a welcome place. A little close-up cardsharks.com. I mean, I love a game like that because they're eventually going to bluff away their money if you're patient and disciplined enough. But in a tournament with 30-minute rounds, obviously you got to make a stand at some point. And there was a point where I really did not know how to play against Tony G. I mean, he was raising 8 out of 9 pots, and I felt like I had to make a stand somewhere, and I really didn't know exactly how to. If you have any ideas for me, please feel free to email me. Let me know. How would you play against a maniac? But not a maniac that doesn't know what he's doing, not a drunk moron. I'm talking about a maniac that knows how to play poker. Get a live straddle out of Thomas here. Live straddle is twice the size of the big blind. He's put $4 in there, and for that he gets to act last. But now it's $4 to call for everybody. Doubles the stakes for everybody.
Go ahead. Okay. 5 players. Bet $6. Raise. 18 total.
Getting a couple of emails here that the percentages are a little hard to read. Well, obviously it's a new technology for us. We'll work the kinks out. It's our first night of using them. Thomas here at top pair. And he's going to put a little small bet in here. Actually, wow, Sylvester actually bet with 4-5. He's got a gut shot and a gut shot straight draw, plus backdoor flush draw. Thomas raises him, and he's going to take it down. Sylvester throws it away. And I'm getting this from Baron Banger Talk here. If Tuck can get his graphics people on it, the width of the percentages is fine, but the height of the percentages should be doubled. That would invariably solve the problem. Well, thank you, Baron. Appreciate it. Get our first chip count of the night.
Sure.
And chip total about $1,000 on the table. Dan in the lead there with 190. Garland with 160. Now remember, this is an $80 buy-in game. And the winnings, here they are. Look at that. Dan up $110. Garland up 80. Pretty impressive. Sylvester already down 180. Man, when did that happen? Jeez. Getting smoked.
Raise.
Checking out the 2+2 thread. Thank you very much for the comment, Jay Burt. Appreciate it. I'll do my best to stop kissing Bart. Thomas with jacks here. He's going to raise it up. Makes it $12 more to go after the original raise from Sylvester. Sylvester had raised it on the button to $8. Now Ryan called the first bet, but he got squeezed between these two players. Can't like his hand here.
I would have called when it was in the hand. I had nothing.
And this is really a little bit of a math question. If you put Thomas on a big pocket pair, you want to have enough money in your hand, enough money to break him, and to have some implied odds, obviously. I'm not sure if Sylvester's got enough money. I'm not sure if Thomas has enough money to make this worthwhile. But that's not going to stop Sylvester. He's going to put the money in anyway. Sylvester's a pretty good player. Sometimes you'll see him donk around a little bit at the small game now. And that's going to bring Ryan in with 5-7 to close. We got 3 ways, about a $60 pot. And the flop was ace-2-3. Scary flop for Thomas. But Thomas is going to bet anyway. He's got to see where he's at. Commanding lead. There are the percentages there. Thomas, 75% chance of winning this pot.
I need that flop.
Sylvester's only got a 7% chance of winning this pot. And Ryan with a 17% chance. It's a sad day on Live the Bike. I used to have a lot of fun actually guessing at the percentages. But I guess that's over now. Thomas takes it down.
Thank you, sir.
Once again, we are live at the bike. I'm David Tuckman. Going it solo today because I am out of the World Poker Tour Invitational. Got knocked out last night. I want to say probably 11:30ish, somewhere right around there, 11:15ish. About 4.5 hours into the tournament.
4-5 actually.
Yeah, worked my stack up from 10,000 chips to about 34,000. I want to say about an hour into the tournament, I was probably the chip leader. And very pathetically, I just could not pick another hand up and ended up losing all my chips. And I will let you know how I lost all my chips. Nick, the takeover showman, knocked me out, and I'll tell you how he did it later.
Dead straddle, huh?
No, no.
Raise.
Just raise.
That's a dead straddle.
Can't re-raise. 4 players.
I think you can have to
Come on in. Teach him a lesson. Cha-ching. Cha-ching. Why can't that be? I always play one hand limit.
Got a flop of 9, 9, 8, two spades,
Always one
and
hand
nobody's got a 9, but Dave and Thomas both have 8s. But Clayton is actually in the lead here. Now this is interesting. You look at this flop here, folks, right? But Clayton actually has the best percentage of winning this hand. He's got Queen 10, which means he's got overcards with the gut shot. A 10, a jack, or a queen would do it for him.
I wouldn't know. 2 of clubs, red 3 or something.
Surprised how that makes him a favorite. I guess against the entire board, he has a bigger chance of winning the hand. Well, suddenly, now that he's out, obviously it makes Dave a commanding leader. And Dave is going to take it down. Nice bet.
You can tip the dealer for no call. You didn't have a beat. You did. Like King 8.
It's actually funny. After the World Poker Tour Invitational ended last night, I went downstairs and I played a little no limit hold'em. I played in the 10-20 game. It's a $600 minimum buy-in game, unrestricted maximum buy-in game. And I got to play with the lovely Jennifer Tilly.
Yeah, anybody had a 4, you need to play.
So that was a highlight of the night.
I miss one hand every single time.
And the blankets.
Another highlight of the night actually was in the hand that Daniel Negreanu got knocked out on. He was all in against another player, an actor actually. And while we were waving the all-in flag to get the cameras over there,
Every single hand.
Tony G and myself, we made a side proposition bet on who would win. And Tony took Daniel Negreanu and I took the other player. So I won a quick $100 that way. And that was a lot of fun, obviously. $14 raise out of Ryan here. He's got King, Queen suited. But you know what? That's not going to scare Clayton. He's in there. He's got Deuce 5. Nothing can stop him. He's the man. The myth, the legend, the Claytonster.
Two players.
Yeah, 4 is pretty good.
Wow, and look at this flop here. It's interesting.
24.
Clayton calls, and Clayton is going to bet right into the razor with Deuce 5. And Ryan's, I mean, this is a terrible flop for Ryan here. There's an ace out there. He's got backdoor heart draw, but he's got really nothing. He's completely missed this draw. And he's thinking about it. Kind of looks constipated. And is he going to raise this up? Now, Clayton has second button here, second pair, with a gut shot straight draw and backdoor flush draw. It's not a great flop for his hands. And don't tell me Bart is back already. Wow. Look at that, folks. Bart is back already. I knew he would be. I'm glad. My throw is killing me. What was Bart in there for one hand? We'll have to hear his story here.
Bart's here. Bart, that wasn't long enough.
I doubled up right away.
Yeah?
I know, seriously. I'm thinking about this. With driving time from the bike to Commerce and back, What did he play? One hand? And Clayton takes it down. All that acting there by Ryan. He finally throws his hand away. It's about time. Oh, there I am. Oops, sorry. And there's Bart. Bart's back, folks. Be exciting. The Bartster. He's back. I got to get word. I'm only wondering if Bart played one hand. Button is in seat 4. And just give us 1 second. We're going to just change the mics for you.
Never fails, either does.
Here we go.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, that was. So I'm not sure what's worse. Is it worse for getting knocked out the night before, or actually have to waste the hour to go there and back?
Well, that's the thing. I was telling you, actually, I started off with 9,900 in chips, and I doubled up right away. I had
So
20,000.
that's 20,000.
And I got all in pre-flop a couple of hands later with kings. What more can I ask for?
No, there's obviously.
And
That's
then
what you're looking for.
I lost to ace-queen.
I mean, if you double up twice there, suddenly you're
If
back.
I'm up to 40,000, I'm right there.
Right, then you're back.
I'll
in the
tell
game.
you who's doing remarkably well, though. Denny Williams. He's at like 50,000. He's probably in the top 15 of chips.
You're more important than chips, actually. I saw Denny Williams with a hot dog in his hand.
Yeah.
And that makes him really happy. I think he would clearly trade thousands of chips for a hot dog.
I heard that we got some new card software with some percentages.
Yeah, I don't know if they're quite big enough for everybody to see them at home.
Yeah.
That's to do the small complaints we've been getting. But obviously it's really exciting. A little more technology here. And look at this. Derek has moved, I think, all in. Or is he just re-raising? Looks like he's re-raising.
Yeah.
Now, Derek is new to the game. He's new to Live at the Bike, but he's very aggressive. I like his style.
Yeah.
So once again, we're Live at the Bike, folks. I'm David Tuckman, and I'm not doing it solo anymore. I'm here with Bart. Congratulations to Isaac, though. He won the last longer bet. He obviously bet on you. But like I told you, I was telling you before, I said, I'm not in this. I wasn't playing. I played last night's tournament to really be aggressive. I wasn't looking to survive.
I got to tell you a couple things here after we get to this end of this hand that
Go ahead.
Jerry was talking to me about.
Look at this. Dan's going to call the raise, too, and now is Clayton going to re-raise with kings? Oh, man, Clayton's got to be dancing in his pants.
Jay was telling me in seat 7 that he was watching you and you pulled some crazy antics last night, trying to make it look like you're an amateur. I think Negreanu was mad at you because you knocked out
Cheryl Hines
right away, and he wanted to talk a little Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, he was talking plenty of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
You also asked him if you should take your chips with you during the break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was definitely pulling the amateur thing. I'll tell you about that, my strategy later. Clayton is going to move all in here. And now what do you do at your 10s? But I got to imagine that is Derek pot committed at this point. Yeah, and he's going to call right away. And is Dan going to call now? I mean, you got to know here, if you're Dan, not only you've got to be badly dominated here. Unless you put both players on ace-king, it's just not going to happen. Now, in an $80 buy-in game, sometimes you will see two players, one with ace-king, one with ace-queen. But in a big or no-limit game, clearly one of these players has to have an overpair. And I mean a big overpair.
You mean a big overpair, huh?
I mean a huge overpair.
Dave, you've neglected the emails here once again. Oh, goodness.
I'm sorry, I was nice enough to actually get knocked out last night to do the show today.
Hey, look at this, though. Dave, Dan's coming in the pot. He's coming in the pot with 8s.
Well, he's in bad shape here.
Yeah.
We'll see the percentages in a second here. We got 8s versus 10s versus kings, and
this
all
is
the
a
money
big
is in.
pot. This is what, like 400? 500?
Not quite that much. No,
Yeah.
it's more like, I want to say about 250. But still very big for this game, obviously.
Well, here we go to the flop.
Oh,
Wow. Right there in the door. Dan hits it. Wow, a jack comes off, and it gives Derek a straight. Derek's got a straight.
Now, interesting here, Derek is going to take the main pot, and the side pot will go to Dan, and Clayton gets nothing.
Right.
Oh, man.
And as you could see there, the percentages went down. 8s were about 58% on the flop because Derek also, he had 6 outs. He could have catch 4 jacks and 2 of the remaining 10s to make
Right.
his hand.
And obviously 6.
Yeah.
Open-ended there.
Right.
There's no hand can do that here. The way the hand is played, it's a nuts.
Also, I ran into Scott Huff. This is what I was trying to call you before the show.
Oh, great.
He wants us, both of us, to go over and do a little segment on the circuit tomorrow.
Super. Sounds great.
Everyone who's familiar with the circuit, you can check it out at cardplayer.com. And I think that we will be on the show tomorrow night whenever that thing gets uploaded.
Great. That's fabulous.
Pocket-
Yeah, he was ragging on me last night after I sucked out on Cheryl Hines.
Wow, 2 people have jacks here. Sylvester in seat 1 and seat number 7, Dan.
Also interesting hands here. King Queen here for seat 8. That's Clayton. And Ace Queen.
And excuse me, that's Jay with the jacks in seat 7.
Yeah, Ace Queen for Dan.
Yeah, ace queen for Dan.
A lot of Broadway out there, huh?
Sylvester's going to raise it up here.
$16.
He's going to make it 16 to go.
I mean, I tell you, the money could go in here again.
And seat number 4 here, that's Dave. He's going to make the call. Now, if Dan smooth calls in between, if you're Jay, if you put a big re-raise in here with Jackson, you just play it. He's out of position. He's in the blind. I mean, he's just going to make the call. I don't mind that play.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Jacks are a tough hand to play out of position because if you raise it there and you get
Right.
re-raised, well, there, where are you then?
Well, Sylvester and Jay are not going to find the jack
Yeah.
because they're all dead. And Clayton's going to call with that easily dominated king-queen offsuit. And we're going to see the flop here. Here we go. 5-way action. Well, all rags here. Probably, let's see if Jay and Sylvester are going to get their money in the flop. Well, Jay checks it from up front.
I wonder what Dave's going to do. Dave's got 6s here.
It's a bluff.
It's interesting that jacks are 0% here to win. Don't know how that's possible.
Well, you know, the way the software is, there's a small little flaw in it, and I think we'll fix this, is
Yeah.
because they're tied, obviously, they cannot win the
I
pot.
see, I
they can
see.
only chop the pot with other jacks.
So it's actually like a tie.
Well, they
Yeah.
can't.
Right.
Jay cannot win this pot. He can only chop it.
Right.
And that's obviously a little bit of a flaw with the system, but we'll
Right.
figure that out.
And Sylvester's going to move all in here. And now for Jay, you got to think here. Well, obviously this is not a deep game. It looks like Sylvester's only in for 40. But if it was a deeper game and a guy made a nice pot-sized bet, what would you be doing here with jacks out of position in the blind? Now, against an aggressive player like Sylvester, he could easily be making a continuation bet here.
Yeah, I mean, against Sylvester for $40, the pot is already about $80?
Yeah, I think it's an easy
The
call.
pot's laying at 3-1. You
Yeah.
have to call this.
Yeah.
Come on, just bluff.
And I got to tell you, last night, Ray was sweating me, and he was so cool, you know, using the camera on me and everything. It was so sweet. The second Ray left, I mean, I swear he was my good luck charm. I was in like 7 hands. I won every single hand I was in while Ray was there. The second Ray left, I mean, I didn't see another hand the rest of the night.
Yeah.
I mean, everything was going right, man. I had a Heineken in one hand. I had 2 huge breasts in my mouth. Okay?
Yeah.
And I had chips in front of me. Ray can attest to it. Actually, we got a tape of it, so we got it on video. This huge, this woman, actually quite attractive, with, I'm talking like triple D gabumbas, okay? Huge. And my face was just right in there.
Dave, Jay folded. Jay folded there.
Nah, Jay can't fold that
He
hand.
folded it.
A little too passive there.
Wow.
See, against a different player, you might throw that away, but against Sylvester, you've got to call that. Sylvester could easily have ace-king there.
Bart Hansa is eliminated by Jesse Jones.
Oh, no wonder I couldn't find you. I was looking for Bart Hansen. And for some reason, they're calling you Bart Hansen.
Probably my writing. You've seen my writing.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's all root for Denny here.
Yeah, go Denny.
And obviously Isaac won the $1, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Or $2 total. There it is.
Well, since one of his dollars. I told you the most exciting thing was when I had the prop bet. I had a prop bet with Tony G, and I actually won $100 off him.
Yeah.
In the free roll.
I got like 2 racks in front of me.
Limped around here.
Once again, if you want to follow along, you can go to 2plus2.com. Go to forums, go to World Poker Tour and other events, and go to Live at the Bike
Yeah.
for February 23rd. You can also email us at live@thebike.com with any of your questions, concerns. If you just want to email and say, Dave, you stink. How did you blow off 34,000 chips? Go ahead. I deserve it.
We're going to see several way action here.
Queen, 9, deuce, couple of spades out there. Garland's got second pair.
$10.
But that's not going to stop Jay. Jay's going to make a little continuation bet here. He bets $10 into about a $20 pot.
Yep, King 9 deuce here. Couple spades.
And is Garland going to get involved? Let's see.
Garland's got middle pair.
Remember, it's Jay betting it, but Garland's going to call.
Yep, Garland makes the call. Here we go to the turn. Turns a 3.
Now, I think if Jay can bet one more time, I think Garland will throw it away. But I'm not sure if Jay's got it in him, but he does.
Well, he's just going to bet. Looks like another $10 when Garland quickly calls
Yeah, well,
again.
He's got to be aware of the pot, obviously.
The river's a 6. And Jay's going to bet the rest of his money all in there.
Wow. Now, the only thing with that is you kind of wonder, did he miss something or did he back into hearts? I mean, it's the only way, you know what I mean? It's kind of an odd bet. Why are you betting 10, then 10? If you had ace-king here, why would you only bet 10 and then all in? It doesn't make any sense. So you start piecing the puzzle together and you go, what kind of hand might Jay have here? And you go, well, would he back into 2 pair? Well, probably not. He raised pre-flop, okay? Why would he bet so small, and then bet big unless maybe he had ace-king of hearts?
Right.
Or king-queen of hearts. And those are definite possibilities. Now, Garland, you see the W next to Garland's hand. If he calls, he wins.
He's going to make the call.
Yep,
And
there
he's
it
got
is.
it.
Jay tries to bluff there, and Jay just mistimed it there. If Jay makes that move on the turn, he wins the pot.
Right. The
But
little
he makes-
weak bet on the turn just didn't do it there.
And I think Garland pieced the hand together and kind of figured out, wait a second, this guy either backed into hearts or he's
Right.
got nothing at all. And nothing at all is the
Again,
correct
you
answer.
can email us at live@thebike.com. Bear with us as we continue to add to technology here.
Yeah.
And I try to stay away from these issues, but I think I don't know if you can watch the show on Windows Media Player right now, but I think some people are
The
having
volume's actually working great. We add the
Yeah.
volume feature back.
Great. Of course, we've got the widescreen format now. And again, if you're having any types of major buffering problems, you can click on that button to log them.
Yeah.
Button's going to move over to Jay here in seat number 7. And you can email us at live@thebike.com.
I got to say, I was jealous last night because I walk over to your table, and early in the night, there's not one pro at your table.
There was no one at my table.
And I'm looking at my table, and I've got Carlos Mortensen,
Yeah.
Daniel Negreanu, Tony G. I'm going. I had, like I told you, I had Lewis Asmo, Nick to take over Shulman,
5 players.
and I was really anticipating. You and I were really excited because we figured there'd be so much dead money at the game, and there was anything but dead money at my table.
5-way action here. And the flop comes out 3-5-4, and Derek in seat 9 has got,
He's got top and bottom.
yep, top and bottom 2 pair.
But Dave is open-ended with deuces.
Now, seat 4 is going to bet here $12, open-ended with bottom pair. Now, let's see what Derek is going to do. He checked it from up front, so you imagine he's going to check raise. You look at Dan, he's going to take one off. He's got overcards and a gut shot there into the 6. If the 6 comes, he's got the good straight.
Now, once again, obviously, it says 0%, but obviously he's not 0%, but there's another player in there with the same hand. as him.
Right. Let's see what Derek is going to do here.
Raise.
He's going to check raise.
Yeah, he's going to raise there. He's got a lot of chips there, huh? Look at that. 40, 40, 40, 40. Got over $240 in front of him.
Raise 40 more.
He raises to 40 more.
40
Right.
more, wow.
Ryan is going to fold. And obviously, you can see why Ryan said was 3% because he had backdoor spade possibilities
Yeah,
there.
exactly. And
Yeah.
now Dave's hand here, now this is interesting. This is really a math problem. You got to realize that obviously you're probably behind.
Yep.
And you have to figure, do I have live cards? I mean, if I hit my straight, is it good? And do I have enough money to make this call? Is there enough money in there to go for it? You also have to be scared that this guy might have spades.
Right.
And if he has spades with a pair, let's say he has something like ace-3 of spades, well, then your hand is really garbage if you have deuces there.
Yep.
And this is one of those cases where, okay, well, you know what? He's got about a 20% chance of winning the hand.
He's going to fold.
Once Dan folds, he's got a bigger chance, obviously, because 6 is good.
And Dan's going to fold as well. And Derek is going to win the hand there with top and bottom pair.
Yeah. And the deuces actually had, I want to say, 4 6s, 4 aces, plus 2 deuces, had 10 outs there. Probably about a 38-39% chance of hitting his hand.
I got to tell you, when I was on my way out there, too, Barry Greenspan had busted Karina Jet, and he's got a nice chip stack. And, you know, when he's got chips in the top 10, he's got to be one of the favorites to make it really far. I think.
Definitely. I mean, one thing I definitely noticed from my play last night is, man, I tell you, playing tournament poker, you can take a little note from Scott Fishman, the fact that he only plays tournament poker.
Right.
Because cash games are a completely different animal.
Right.
And I will say that, and admit to it, that my tournament game definitely needs work. I was able to accumulate chips, but I definitely was a little uncomfortable playing at a table with Tony G and Negreanu in the sense that I just didn't know how to combat their aggressiveness.
We got a raise here on the button. He's going to make it 18 to go. He's got pocket 4s.
I mean, obviously, a lot of players would have problems with their aggressiveness, but I'd like to be able to figure out a strategy against that.
Now, Dave, seat 3 and seat 4 are from that company.
Cardsharks.com.
Cardsharks.com.
That's Alan.
Yeah.
where we try to steal each other's lines?
Button's going to, like, again, he raises here with pocket fours. And he is going to, looks like he's going to take it down, and he does take it down. Although I can save, though. I mean, the greats can play both tournaments and cash games, like a Barry Greenstein, like a Phil Ivey, like a Daniel Negreanu. I think it's easier, if you're a good cash game player, to learn tournament strategy versus starting off and playing tournaments and then think you can hop into a cash game.
Oh, of course.
I feel like Nate and everybody call it.
I mean, there's not even a question. Most of the tournament players that just play tournaments, they actually readily admit. A lot of them will readily admit that they are fish in cash games. I was actually talking to Tony G about it last night, and he says once in a while he'll play limit hold'em.
Yeah.
But he says he actually admitted, he goes to me, he goes, I am a complete fish.
Yeah.
In a cash game. He goes, I'm terrible in a cash game, and I know why. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I take aggressive, this guy was raising 8 out of 9 pots around.
And was he accumulating chips that way?
Yeah, he was. He was once Negreanu and Mortensen got knocked out, and they weren't in there to keep him in check. He really was running the table over.
Okay, 4 players.
Four-way action here. It's limped around. We're playing 2-2 no limit hold'em. $80 buy and green chips are $2 chips. Flop comes out 10 deuce 10 here. Rainbow. No one has anything.
How's your throat?
And everyone checks. It's actually better.
I was actually complaining because my throat hurts a little bit today.
The cold has kind of moved up to my head. I'm more congested now, as where I was hoarse.
If I get sick, I'm going to kill you.
$12.
What are you going to do? That's what you get for kissing me. So Tom's going to bet $12 here with ace high. It looks like it's good. And he's going to take it down there.
No, you stole that something. You stole it.
Yeah, there were quite a few stars. I was actually...
I never told you that.
Outside, Dave. And this lady came up to me and asked for a light. And she's like, so what are you doing here? I'm like, well, I'm a poker commentator. I'm like, are you an actress? She's like, yes. Like, she's like, yeah, I'm Anne H. I'm like, oh, okay.
You didn't recognize her?
I did. I just couldn't. And then I'm thinking to myself, what should I make? And then she talked about her husband. And I'm thinking to myself, well, should I go there?
Her husband? I thought she was a
I
lesbian.
know. That's what I was going to say. Should I go there with, what's her name?
That'd be great. They should have started out
With Ellen? So is Ellen here, too?
So Ann said,
Is
well,
Ellen
she
here?
hasn't been with Ellen in a while. But
I know. I
but
was going to make an Ellen comment, but I decided
I think
not
it
to
was-
go there.
I think it would have been absolutely hysterical if you had said, when she said, I'm here with my husband, she said, I thought you were a lesbian. Because I have no love of Anne. I mean, I think I have so much respect for her acting. She's such a good actress.
Six-way action. Ace, king, 4 with a couple of hearts.
She's actually played here at the West Casino.
The other guys just
Now, no one has an ace here. Thomas has got a king.
I can't
so
believe
does
you didn't
Sylvester.
recognize her.
It was dark, and I was like,
She is gorgeous.
yeah, she is.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Did you see the movie Return to Paradise?
With Harrison Ford? No, that was 7 Days. What the heck? I don't think I saw it.
No. Maybe I'm not thinking of the same movie. What am I thinking with Anne H. and they went over and the guys got in jail for... Yeah, for hash. Right, Return to Paradise. I like that.
I don't think I saw it.
Yeah, that was a good movie. Yeah. Button's going to bet here. Sylvester's got the best hand with king 9.
Now, some of these percentages also are a little out of whack because sometimes you'll see another hand in there that clearly is not going to stay. That might be taking away percentages from another hand.
Yeah.
I think my hand's so good at winning this series.
Well, obviously, she said that, she would be interested in playing on the show. So
Super.
if she ever
Well, that's
stops
great.
by, that would be great to get her in the game.
Of course.
Yeah.
That is great.
I'm not going to bet that much.
And the Gilmore Girls star, David Sutcliffe, was there. And I'm good friends with David, actually. David Sutcliffe, I play hockey with him on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And he's a great guy. He's really cool. And he played last night, and he was kind of pissed off because we were joking about it. At about 8:30, I had a lot of chips, and he was doing But he had a hockey game last night at about 10 o'clock. And he was asking me advice. He goes, so what do you think, Dave? Should I just donkey it up and throw my chips up and go play hockey? Or should I, really play well and try to survive? And I go, well, there's no point in surviving in this tournament.
$8.
I go, you got to raise $8 here by Jay with Ace King. And Sylvester's got Ace Queen of Hearts. Let's see how they play it, and I'll get to my story in a second.
Jack 10 of clubs over there for seat number 9.
Ooh, and pocket 10s for seat 2. Ryan. Wow, I get some big hands here, huh?
So Jay brought in for a raise with big slick suited. Seat number 8 is going to make the call with ace 5 suited. And seat 9 has got the Jack 10 of clubs he's going to call.
Wow. And what do you do for Sylvester? He's going to call.
He's going to raise. He raises.
Wow. And what do you do if you're Ryan here?
38 total.
You got a raise and a re-raise, and you're looking at pocket tens.
Now it's Jay raising and Sylvester re-raising. Do you just call this, or do you have enough money just to call, or is it really just a fold or move all in move?
Well, the problem is you just don't have any information about Jay's hand because Sylvester could be easily making this move
That's
because
what I
he
mean.
thinks people are weak by just
And
calling.
I don't mind this. He's moving all in
No,
here.
yeah, that's not a bad play.
It's one or the other. It's certainly
Yeah.
not calling.
No.
You can't call.
Not when you're this shallow. This game's a pretty shallow game.
$84.
So he's going to move all in for $84. And now if you're Jay, is Jay going to get involved with ace-king suited? No, he's going to fold it, Dave. Now, obviously, Clayton is probably going to fold, and seat number 9 is going to fold. But you know that Sylvester has gamble in him. And with all that money in there,
All
he
the
might
dead
make
money,
the
I think
call.
he's going to call.
Because he's probably getting at least 1.5 to 1.
Well, I mean, you've got to look at the hand here. Sylvester, unless you're up against aces, kings, queens, or ace-king, it's only 4 hands.
Right.
You are okay. You're in okay shape.
Not more than, say, like a 55%.
Yeah, the only problem you got to realize, though, is
45%
with a raise from Jay, and then all those callers, your cards might be dead. You got to figure maybe these players had aces also. And if you put Ryan on a pocket pair at all, you might even be in worse shape. I mean, this normally is about 50-50, but we've seen one of the queens dead and one of the aces dead.
Yep. Did we see one of the queens dead? I think it was just the ace-king,
Actually,
right?
yes. Seat 4 had queen deuce.
So let's see if Sylvester's going to make this call.
And how much more is it?
It's probably about 46 total. Sylvester's going to do some pot odds out here. And I think he can make this call. Again, I mean, we're talking about probably somewhere around $130 pot.
Now, can we get the
46 to
percentages
call.
up there now? That would be really interesting. Curious where they go up. Why they don't go up free flop, I guess.
And I-
Obviously, we're still tinkering with this
Right.
technology, folks.
I was also wondering if the software will take into account the fact that some of those dead cards are already out
Yeah,
there.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
big. No, obviously, we're doing it live here.
Right.
And when normally you see percentages in the on
it's all
TV,
it's all post-production.
It's all post-production. They know exactly how many cards are live, dead.
Right.
And Sylvester's going to call, and we quickly have what amounts to about $120 pot. He was getting about, I want to say, 2 to 1 on his money.
Yeah. Actually, I think more than that. I think it was $130 pot, about 46 to call.
Okay.
So here we go. Pretty much a coin flip here.
Well, there's the queen.
There's the queen, and Ryan's going to need some help. He's going to need to spike a 10.
Well, now he's almost dead here. He needs a 10 of clubs
He's
and
got
only a 10 of clubs.
one out. Oh, 10 of hearts comes, but
Yep, there
Sylvester
you go.
makes the flush.
Like I said, he needed the 10 of clubs and only the 10 of clubs, folks. The turn brought the 7.
See, take a look, 98 to 2%. Ryan's got one out there. On
One
the
out.
river.
So if you have one out, it's 2% pretty much. If you have
Yeah.
2 outs, it's 5%.
Yeah. And that situation when you're the biggest dog is when you need perfect running cards, which is, say you need this specific card and this specific card. Like, say you need running 7s to make quads or something like that.
Right,
I
right.
think it's about a 1 in 500 chance or something like that. I'm trying to figure out what I
Well, it's
remember-
exactly 1 out and exactly. It's 1 out of 2 outs the first time, and then 1
Right.
out of one
Right.
out of say 40 whatever outs the next
Right.
time.
Right.
So it's like 2 in 1,600 chance. It's like 1 in 800, I want to say.
C2's going to play 100 behind here.
Button is in seat 3.
Yep,
Once again, the
Button's in
blinds
seat
here
3.
are 2 and 2, folks. We're playing it with green chips.
Eight players.
And we see the
6-way
flop.
action here.
Actually, we see it 7 ways.
Wow, deuce 3-3 here. Dave's got trip 3s in seat 4.
Yeah, and then nobody has anything here. I mean, Thomas has got a pair of deuces, but he's there with deuce 10.
Look at Dave. He's going to come out and lead right
Now,
away.
Sylvester's got an overpair with 4s, but, man, you got to be a little careful of that one.
Yeah, I mean, you got an overpair with 4s. How often does that happen?
Yeah.
I mean, does he really think this guy's leading out with the deuce? Well, he's going to make the call.
Well,
And he's in big trouble.
Thank God for those percentages, because I wouldn't know Dave was a big favorite here.
Right. Gotta think that Dave watches the show. He plays by what we preach. Gonna lead out right away with trips.
Well, it's funny, at these smaller levels, players actually play it pretty straightforward, and it
Yeah.
works.
Turn here looks like it's the 9 of hearts. And Dave's gonna bet again.
All in.
Yeah.
Moves all in.
And Sylvester's got to know his beat here, doesn't he? I mean, he can beat a deuce, he can beat a club draw.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's going to throw it away. I actually told everybody the highlight of last night. The beginning of the night was a lot of fun, obviously, when I built my chip stack up. But the highlight of the night actually was afterwards, after I got knocked out and I went downstairs and played a little No Limit Hold'em, and I got to play with Jennifer Tilly. And I got involved with Jennifer Tilly in a big hand.
Yeah, you
big
said
pot.
you won some money down there, right?
Yeah, well, I won a big pot off Jennifer Tilly. Well, it was 5-handed game, and I raised with pocket jacks.
Yep.
And she re-raised me out of the small blinds, and I smooth called her, and the flop came out 6 high. And she made a continuation bet, and I raised her to see where I was at. And she kind of tossed and turned for a while with the call, and
Yep.
she threw away her hand. But between the raise, the re-raise, and then the continuation bet, it turned out to be about a $1,200, $1,300 pot that she gave me.
We got ace queen here on the button.
She
Yeah.
immediately got up and ran over to Phil Locke and complained to him.
5 chips.
He's going to raise it out. Well, the funny thing is that you said you pulled the amateur thing, so Negreanu didn't know who you were.
Oh, they had...
Because he came
Well-
up to me and said that, I knew that he was a fan of Live at the Bike.
Yeah,
He'd seen it before.
It was funny. You
Yeah.
know what? I'm not sure if he recognized me or not, but my attitude was... I'll get to this hand, actually.
Ace deuce 3 here, all spades. Dave brought this in with the ace queen. He's got top pair. 3 spades on the board. Look at that. 1% there for kings. They would need to catch running kings, and exactly, there are 2 remaining kings here.
Exactly.
So again, if you were up with these hands, you would need perfect.
Well, they don't need... I mean, they also have running... I mean, running nines would do it.
That's
running
right.
eights would
Right,
do it.
right.
They need running cards, though.
And Dan came out and bet $10, and Dave moved all in. He didn't buy it.
And he goes right to his menu. He's not worried at all. He takes it down. Yeah, you know what? It was interesting. I sat down at the table, and my original strategy was I said, if I play with a bunch of amateurs, I'm playing with the celebrities,
Yeah.
I'm going to really play my style of playing a lot of hands in position,
Yeah.
playing small pots, taking down a lot of small pots, and really trying to run the table over.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, when I sit down at the table and I see Negreanu, who was actually right behind me, Carlos Mortensen next to me to my left, Negreanu behind him, Tony G at the table,
It was a really interesting structure because even though we only played for 5 hours last night, they started us off with 10,000 in chips. The levels were only a half an hour, but the blinds were only 25 to start.
yeah, but then they quickly escalated.
Yeah.
The big jump that surprised me is it went right from 100, 200 to 2-4,
Yeah.
which was a huge jump.
Yeah.
I mean, it really made the price of poker pretty expensive. But anyway, when I quickly saw the table I was at, I quickly realized that I'm not going to be able to run this table over. I'm not going to be able to run over Negreanu and Mortensen and Tony G. So I figured maybe I could play the amateur role. And my attitude was, well, these guys don't know who I am. And if they don't know who I am, well, maybe they'll think I'm a celebrity. And in that case, you know what we always preach, and I'm sure they know it too, you never bluff somebody who doesn't know how to play poker.
Right.
So I thought maybe they wouldn't bluff me if they thought I was a crappy player. If they thought I didn't know how to play.
Limit around here, king, 6 on the flop. We are playing $80 no limit. The blinds in this game are 2 and 2, and the green chips are $2 chips. And it gets checked around here. The turn's a 5, and Garland's got a pair of 5s now, and that looks to be the best hand. He's on the button. Now, if it gets checked to him, I wonder if he's going to bet, but seat number 8 is going to come out and bet with ace high. Looks like $6 here.
Hey, Jay has got a flush draw. See if he stays in there, the paired board. I'm not sure if he will or not.
Let's see what Garland's going to do here. He's not going to get involved. And Dan, he's going to call. And Dan's got the best hand with ace 10.
Well, once the 5 folds, yeah.
And the river's a 10, and this is definitely going to make Dan stick around. And it's going to go check here. Dan's going to take it down with ace 10.
Might you bet that river? Do you have ace 10?
And a back home.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on what you think the guy's betting on.
The guy's betting-
If he's betting on a spade draw, I mean, you might just check call to extract some money out of the river.
Well, he was he the... No, he was in position, though, wasn't he?
No, Dan was out of position.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah,
so he attacked first.
Right,
Yeah, no, definitely.
right,
Okay.
right.
I thought the guy checked to him first. I was kind of
No, if you checked to him, you definitely would
Yeah,
bet there
okay.
with ace 10. But he was
Exactly.
out of position. Button moves over there to Dan.
So anyway, that was my strategy was basically I said, okay, well, I can't run this table over, so instead I'll play the amateur card,
Yeah.
act like I have no idea what I'm doing, and see if that works. And for the first couple hours, it really worked. I was catching some hands, and I had tripled my initial stack.
It was funny. I went downstairs there in Commerce right after the tournament. And Phil Hemmington, who was still in the tournament, was playing in a cash game. He's going to show up late again to the tournament like he always does. And you should see, it seemed like the pros were salivating with him on the table. I think they were playing 500, 1,000 combo, they call it. And it was a mixed game of like
Right.
Badugi and Oman and other stuff.
Supposedly Phil Ivey is killing Andy Beal. Took him for $17 million the last couple of weeks or something like that.
Wow.
Not bad. Phil Ivey's got to be one of the premier players out there right now. I mean, between cash game and tournament games, he is absolutely phenomenal.
C3 is going to raise it up here with Ace Jack. I think you can kind of see a new breed of really some of the best players, and I'll get to this in a second. And Mo he kind of does what some of the best players do as well, which is primarily 99% of the time you're playing in cash games, and then you play the big tournaments. You don't need to play a lot of tournaments.
No, yeah. Well, there's just too many big tournaments out there to play. I mean, a lot of the players used to play all the tournaments.
Right.
You can't do that anymore. There's just too many. Every week there's a $10,000 tournament somewhere.
Deuce 3-7 here. Garland's got overcards and the nut spade draw.
Yeah, he's in great shape here.
And C3 is going to make a continuation bet here, Thomas. He's going to bet 16.
Now, it's interesting here. Clayton is a favorite right now, but, I mean, it's really skewed because there are other hands involved.
Right.
And we'll see what happens.
Because the ace and the jack, I think, by Thomas make
once
Garland's
Thomas
hand
folds
dead.
there, it's going to really...
Yeah, and Garland's going to raise.
52 more.
He's got a huge hand there.
Yep.
Obviously, he's got any ace, any jack.
Yep.
Any ace, any jack, any spade. And the semi-bluff's hugely effective here. I don't think Clayton could call with second pair.
Yeah.
5 kicker.
And I like the fact that the software takes into account some of the cards that we don't even put up because they were dead.
Right, no.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, the reason Garland's only a 35% chance of winning
Right.
is because Thomas is still in the hand, technically.
Right.
And if an ace were to come, he's only going to chop it. Or if a jack were to come, he's only going to chop it.
Well, no, I think it's also because of the fact that some of the aces and the jacks are dead as well.
Right. But when Thomas's hand gets eliminated from the screen,
Yeah.
you'll see Garland's hand go shooting up.
Yeah, there you go. Well, against King Queen. There you go. I'm going to take it down.
By Garland.
Nice semi-bluff there from Garland. Really well played.
I've seen Garland around here the last couple of days played in a 3-5 game.
Yeah, he lives in Northern California, actually.
Yeah.
He'll come down for about a week or so at a time, 10 days at a time, get his poker fix in, and then go back home. Now, it's funny, there are casinos up north in California, but he likes to play on Live at the Bike. And we appreciate it. Good guy he is.
Yep. Actually was at the next table over from Liz Liu last night as well, Dave.
Yeah, she got eliminated last night as well.
Yeah, didn't really get a chance to talk with her.
Yeah, I was talking to a lot of the big-name poker players. I was talking to Negrano, actually, afterwards, and he said, a lot of the big-time players, their strategy in a tournament like that really is they don't want to play for 15 or 16 hours.
Right.
And get knocked out 15th.
Right.
You know, they want to put themselves in a spot where they're going to finish in the top 3.
Right.
Or just get out right away.
Right.
So,
Four-way action there. Negrano was taking some Heinekens down last night, Dave. I saw him in the parking lot afterwards when I was valeting my car. He's like, which ones are your keys? You know, he was in the valet.
classic.
Yeah, Jack 4-5 here with a couple clubs.
Thomas is in commanding shape here.
Thomas is going to come out and bet here with top pair. Seat number 8 is going to make the call with ace-queen. He's got overcards.
Once again, if you're new to the show, you see the percentages on the right of the hands there. It's a new feature we have. We're still working the kinks out.
Turn is an ace. And look at that. Clayton, who's stuck in there with overcards, has the best hand.
Yeah. Those are one of those hands you really got to be careful about, though, because one is a Thomas at ace-jack.
Well, you know, Clayton's going to check, and Thomas is going to bet again. Now, if you're Thomas, you know, sometimes that ace might not stop you from betting, but somebody could be on the nut club draw.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely got to be scared of that. If somebody called you with that kind of flop, you got to start thinking of some hands they might have. If they have a jack, there's a good chance your kicker's in trouble. And if they don't have a jack, what might they have?
Looks like he's going to check raise all in here.
Yeah. Clayton's putting his money in, and Thomas has got to know he's in bad shape here.
Yeah.
Obviously, they share the queen, so queen is no good. Thomas, we need a jack and only a jack to win this hand.
Whatever you look at it was
Once again, we're watching Live at the Bike here. It's an $80 restricted buying game. The blinds are 2 and 2.
You know, it's funny, that situation there with Queen Jack. I was playing the 5-10 game here earlier this afternoon.
Yeah.
And I was kind of playing against a weak player that I kind of know, you know, what was at. And it was linked around. I was in the cutoff. I did not raise the Queen Jack offsuit, and the flop came Jack high. This guy led out in early position. I raised him a little bit, and he called. The turn brought a pair to the middle card.
Right.
So
Which
I
you
knew
gotta
that-
hate.
Well, yeah, but I knew that if on the turn I bet I got raised, I could easily fold it. I only bet a little bit. Once he called me, I knew that he probably had a jack that was kind of weak, but I kind of pussied out and I checked the river. But I actually probably missed a value bet. And I know I talk about how it's dangerous sometimes to value bet marginal hands like a queen jack on a paired board. But sometimes if you know you have the best hand, I could have thrown in another $300 there.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
if a player you're playing against, especially in a casino where you're familiar with,
Yeah.
and the player is playing a jack softly, couldn't he just as easily have king jack?
Well, this guy kind
You
of,
knew.
yeah.
You knew
But,
he had probably
I mean,
like jack
against
nine.
against normal competition, yeah, queen jack, you
Okay.
probably just check it down at the end. And he did. He had jack 9.
Jack, I was going to say,
Yeah.
if you start putting one of the hands, what
Right.
might he have with a jack? Jack 9, jack 10, queen
Right.
jack, king jack, or ace jack?
Yeah.
And you go, well, you've kind of got the median one.
Right.
You know, you lose the 2 and you win the 2.
Seat number 1 here. Sylvester's going to bet $6 with middle pair. Now Garland's got queen jack here, and he limped, and he's going to make the
And he
call.
makes the jack. Yeah, there you go.
He's going to make the call.
This is not a kicker problem, obviously. He's in good
Actually,
shape.
he's going to pop it up here a little bit.
And Garland's really comfortable playing at this level, believe it or
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
It's funny, he normally doesn't play this small of a game, but you can see how much more comfortable he's in this game that he doesn't call with his pair. He really has been raising, he moves around.
Well, it's funny. I think that you and I have definitely evolved, especially me, as I listen to myself on the archives over the last year in terms of, I think, how we've gotten better with our analytical, with our strategy and how we, analyze hands. Sometimes you can raise with top pair there to get information. Sometimes a smooth call is in order because, like, with a hand like queen jack on the flop comes jack 4-6, there's 6 people in there. Now, in that particular case, when I was out on the floor earlier this afternoon, I wanted to raise, kind of see where I was at.
Right.
But sometimes you actually want to keep that pot small. You don't necessarily want to build a big pot with top pair mediocre kicker.
Yeah, obviously
You know what
our audience is growing, and obviously our commentary grows
Right.
as we play more no-limit cash games.
Right. Sylvester's got big slick offsuit here.
And I'd say over the last 3 or 4 months, you and I have put in, a lot of hours
Yeah.
of no-limit cash games. Now, tournaments, you and I have obviously probably need a lot more work. Not more work, actually, just a lot more experience. And you've got to play, and obviously doing this show Monday through Friday
Yeah,
from
it's
7
tough.
to 10 p.m., it just
You know,
really makes it
I'm
tough
trying
to
to
get
play
tournaments.
some tournaments on the weekends as much as possible. I mean,
Yeah.
even like $30 no limit ones. I mean, the fields are like 1,000 people. It gets you experience,
Yeah, well, I was actually going to tell you a little development here where I'm not going to be propping anymore. I'm only going to be doing live at the bike
Right.
and playing on my own. During the weekends, I'm actually going to probably use one day a weekend to play a tournament, a live tournament, that is.
Yeah, we're going to get all in here by seat number 3. He's got pot. What does he got? Pot. It looks like, pot. 9,
No,
10
yeah,
off
10-9,
suit.
I'll see.
Yeah, he comes over the top of Sylvester, and he doesn't have that many chips. Sylvester's easily going to make this
Yeah,
call.
but you know what, though? This is a hand that he's got live
Wow,
cards.
Clayton's going to make the call with Queen Jack.
Wow.
Now, I don't know if the raise is enough where Sylvester can re-raise. I don't think it is. It's got to be 100% of it's only 1 chip more than Sylvester.
No, so you can only call that.
Yeah, you can only call.
And look at this, 9-10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace.
We're going to build a side pot, and Sylvester's got trip kings. And he checks it on the side here, in position. And let's see what Thomas is going to do.
Well, Thomas is already all
Oh,
in.
excuse me, Clayton over there in
Well, this
C8.
is one of those things, is there a point in Clayton betting? He only has Queen high.
Turns a 4.
You know what I mean? You're not going to get somebody to bluff at it because there's no side pot.
Right, I don't know why, if you're Sylvester there, would you...
Well, you might
maybe,
check.
Maybe the guy has a pocket pair, something like that.
No, yeah, I mean, it's not a terrible spot to check. I mean, maybe Clayton, you let Clayton get an ace, or you let Clayton catch a jack or a queen here. There's no real risk. I mean, it is a rainbow board.
Yeah, Thomas was drawing dead there on the turn. Sylvester's going to take it down there with the ace-king.
Yeah.
I mean, again, the other thing, too, for Sylvester, Sylvester usually does not slow play. But again, kind of like Corporation Mike, aggressive players, they've raised pre-flop. Well, I was going to say, and I know the guys moved all in. I wouldn't buy the fact that Sylvester wouldn't come out and bet on that board, although what changes the fact is the fact that seat number 3 is all in. So.
I mean, I got to say, I don't mind the way Sylvester played that hand in particular because, he's got to think that he's in good shape. Although he knows the other player's not going to bluff at it,
yeah.
he also does not mind if maybe he lets the other player get there a little bit. Maybe he gets called.
We're going to see a live straddle here. By seat number 5.
It's kind of funny. while I was playing last night in the World Poker Tour Invitational, I had this guy Mike, who's head of security over at Carmel's Casino, and I had this girl Jill, who's some sort of roulette pro, who was sitting behind me. They were both buying me Heinekens at a ridiculous pace. Like,
Were you drinking them?
Yeah, well, Jill bought me one, and I was like, thanks. And then Mike bought me one. I was like, guys, you got to stop. And then Jill bought me another one. Before I knew it, I had like 7 beers.
It was funny,
And I'm not a big drinker.
Lyndon Johnson was sitting next to me, and I was pounding Miller Lights. You saw, and I'm like putting like the
you're
Miller
really
Lights
used to it, though.
on her. She was like writing down every hand she played. She was actually writing down.
She's
every
gonna,
hand.
she's gonna write about it in card play.
Yeah. 9 deuce 10 here with a couple of spades. Sylvester, I believe, raised this one up here with ace queen, or excuse me, with pocket threes, and Thomas is going to come out and bet.
Yeah, problem with threes here, you don't know where you're at if you get called in one spot. Sylvester's got a lot of money though now. Yeah, I think haven't you ever seen the card player Linda Johnson's?
Yeah, of course.
Come play a tournament with me.
Right.
And she'll literally show you every hand that she played. How did she play, by the way?
I got to tell you, I mean, from what I saw, it was okay. I didn't really like the. Well, you know what? I don't necessarily know if I can make this statement because I don't know enough about her experience playing heads up, with Barry Greenstein. But she was pretty much. I mean, she wasn't ridiculously short chipped. And Barry Greenstein had made a raise in middle position. And Linda came over the top of him all in with ace-7 offsuit, and Barry called with ace-queen. And that was her tournament right there.
She got knocked out.
Yeah. I mean, it might be a case where Linda can say, well, I know that Barry respects my re-raises or my raises. Thought maybe I could get him to lay a hand down there. I just don't know enough about that.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of making that raise with ace, because if you get called, you're probably dominated.
Right.
I'd rather make that play, and I was going to say how I got knocked out by Nick, the takeover Shulman.
Big, tall, skinny dude, right?
Yeah.
Wow, Sylvester's going to make the call here. Thomas led out, and Sylvester made the call.
Sylvester's in good shape here. You see the percentages there, folks. Wow, and that's going to give...
the turn is a jack, and it gives Thomas an open-ended straight draw.
And there, look at that. Now he's got a 33% chance. He's up a little bit here. He needs an ace, a king, or a queen, or an 8.
And he's going to bet 50. And right now, Sylvester can only beat ace-king or ace-queen right now, right? Pretty much any other hand is going to be a straight or some sort of pair.
Yeah, and he takes down. Nice bet there by Thomas. Continues to bet, continues to fire, takes down.
And that's, again, sometimes the situation where you get involved with hands that... And oftentimes I actually see the people, I think, sometimes make a mistake and limit hold'em when they're heads up with a player, and they've got like a low pocket pair, and the card comes with 2 Broadway cards. And automatically people say, oh, the guy's got ace-king, and it comes, say, 10-jack blank. Well, the problem is that if they don't have a pair, with 2 cards to come, they're going to hit something that's going to beat the pocket threes. They're favored to. And do you really want to stick around?
And you have to understand, obviously you can put them on ace-king.
Right.
But once again, we've got to put them on a range of hands.
Right.
Maybe they have ace-jack this time.
Maybe they have king-queen, where
right.
you're like,
I mean,
you're in real you're in real bad shape.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, overcards and a straight draw.
There are times, especially in a cash game. Now, this is the big difference in a cash game and a tournament. In a cash game, you can pick your battles. Remember, the blinds are so small that you do not have. You could theoretically not play a hand for an hour and a half, even 2 hours in a cash game.
Right.
Win 1 or 2 hands the entire night and make plenty of money. While in a tournament, obviously, you've got to gamble it up a little bit more, make a stand at some point.
Now, they did play the 25-50 game here last night on the side. Mo said it was a great game as usual.
Oh, of course.
Mo said that some of the players want to play that game like, as a regular game here every day.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
4-way action. And Mo loves the game. I think he's totally comfortable with it now, Dave.
Yeah, well, it's funny about the games. A lot of players here, Ryan has flopped top pair here. Nobody else has got much of anything. Flops 9, 6 ace, rainbow.
Well, Derek is going to come out and bet here with bottom pair.
Yeah, okay. Imagine Ryan's going to
Ryan makes the call from the cutoff with ace rag weak. Here we go to the turn.
Wow, look at that. Derek makes 2 pair here.
Yeah, he makes 2 pair.
And let's see if Derek fires again.
Only a no limit. Limit, you can go for it. You know what I mean?
Gotta like that card if you're Derek. And he's going to check it. Ryan checks it. Now, how about a value bet?
Wow, and the river's a 7, and Derek is filled up.
Yeah, well, you certainly can't put him on a 7.
Yeah.
And you think maybe that you're... Now, obviously, Ryan's kicker does not play here. He has aces and 7s with a 9 kicker. Now, if Derek puts a nice bet in there, does Derek call hoping for a chop?
He's going to bet here $16. And this is an interesting hand because I want to talk about a hand that I played last night in the 10-20 no limit game over there. Ryan checked the turn, and some people might say, well, why did Ryan check the turn? Well, in this game where you're shallow, pot control and pot size control isn't as critical as a deeper game.
Right.
But I got to tell you, as Ryan continues to think this one over, and he is going to make the call here, it looks like. There was a guy from Kentucky over there at Commerce that was talking a lot of shit to me, Dave, because I won a hand. Or actually, I bluffed him out of the hand right away, right after I sat down, and then he started talking a lot of shit to me. And I had a hand where I had limped in late position with ace-10 of diamonds. And the flop had come out ace-rag-rag. A guy from early position bet. I called, and he called in a small blind.
Okay.
Now, the turn came...
So the pot's 3 ways.
Yeah, and it's about a $300 pot. The turn came blank. The guy from Kentucky checked. The other guy checked. And instead of checking, I bet $300. I bet the pot.
I like that.
Now, this guy now check-raised to 1,000, the guy that had been talking shit to me. The other guy folded. And I ended up folding the best hand because I did not want to face a gigantic bet on the river. And it's just one case where you might check the turn to try to control pot size if you're not really comfortable with calling a big check raise. I mean, I knew that the guy could have been full of it, but at the same time, I didn't necessarily want to try to think that I would put all my chips in the
But it's not a bad
ace-10.
play there by raising, because if you don't raise there and they have a draw...
By betting?
Yeah, if you don't bet there,
Yeah.
you give your opponent a free card.
No, I know.
Which is
I
exactly
understand.
what they might need.
Right.
Okay? Now, by betting, you got all the information you needed to
Yeah.
get. And you can make your decision based on that. You
And
didn't have
he
to-
ended, I folded, and he ended up showing me second period, like queen jack. I think the flop was an ace jack play
Yeah.
and an ace 10. You know, it's just because I knew the guy was going to put a big bet in on the river.
I
So.
like the play here. Ace 9, I believe, from... Ace 9 is gone, actually. I take it back. Dan actually had Jack 9.
Yeah.
Ace 9 had folded, free flop.
Now, the funny thing about
Dan takes it down.
if you put yourself in my position in that spot, I think at least that you think you have more faith in your physical reads than I do. I'm not a huge physical read person.
Right.
So you might have actually been like, well, I'm going to read this guy, and I might stick all my chips in. You might have called this check raise and made a big all-in call with one pair at the end.
Maybe,
You know,
and I might have folded as well.
Yeah.
But you got that information for $300.
Right.
Well, wouldn't it really suck is if you checked it,
Yeah.
control the pot, keep it small, then the river he actually got there, right? And then he bets 400 into the river, and now you've induced this bluff,
Right.
but he's not bluffing anymore because he got there.
Right.
And you lost the pot because you didn't bet the turn.
Right.
You know, and instead of losing that $300 pot, which you would have picked up, you now lost $700 because you called him, too. I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Sometimes you check that to keep the pot small and to induce a bluff.
Right.
But you got to be careful that, they might draw it in now.
Six-way action here. Queen, jack, deuce with a couple hearts. Well, that's when your board reading skills come into play and playing the hand backwards in your head as to what this guy might add and what the river card is going to bring, how that might help.
Right.
You know.
Now, I'll tell you, my board reading skills
Yeah.
and my player reading skills were really put to the test last night playing with Tony G and Mortensen and Negrano because these guys were raising every pot. I mean, I got to tell you, I'm going to talk to Mo about it, and I want to talk to a couple of the tournament specialists about it because I really did not have a strategy to combat their aggressiveness.
Look at this. Dave let out. He's got top and bottom pair. Garland called him with middle pair. We've got a dangling 8-9 over there for Dan, and Dan makes a straight.
And Garland makes 2 pair.
Yep, he's got jacks up. Dave's got queens up, and Dave's going to continue to bet here.
And this could get ugly, folks. The gut shot has really hurt 2 players here. Garland makes 2 pair, but he can't like the 2 pair. I'm actually surprised Garland even called with black jack 10 there.
Dan's going to bet 12 chips, $24 here.
Yeah, I mean, if you
Or,
got
excuse me, Dave.
Now, this is the perfect time to pick your spots. Now, in a tournament, it's a little different, but in a cash game, jack 10 of spades, that's not the kind of flop I'm looking to hit there.
Right.
Queen, jack, deuce with 2 hearts. Because you got to think, if I hit my 10, it might not be good if this guy's betting some sort of, somebody's in there with a gut shot, or if he's in there with queen 10 even. Who knows?
And Garland's going to raise here, and Garland's got the third best hand.
But now this puts Dan to the test. Dan's going to move all in.
In an unraised pot here, you can't be scared of ace-king. I mean, I guess you could lose to king-9, but what are you going to do,
But how often in our big games have we seen people limp in with ace-king trying to play it tricky?
Yeah.
You do have to be aware that it could happen. In this game, obviously, it's more likely somebody would raise the ace-king.
Yeah, go ahead. No problem.
So we got a bet and a call by Garland, and Dan has moved all in here. And as you can see, Garland's got redraws, and so does Dave. Dan actually has to dodge a queen, a jack, a deuce, or a 10 if both players stay in. Well, I don't know if both players are going to stay in. And how much is the raise here?
Looks like about $80 total, so the raise is probably an additional $40.
Yeah.
And this actually reminds me of a hand I played with Hollywood Russ about 2 weeks ago, and I want to ask I actually want to ask our viewers what they thought of my play.
You know, sometimes here, if you've got Queen Jack, I can sometimes see how you might make this call. But with Queen Deuce, especially with a guy like Garland who's tight in between, I think you lay this hand down. I don't think it's that difficult to lay down.
Yeah, I think you almost have to put Garland on possibly having Queen 10 here.
Well, he's going to make the call.
Yeah.
And now, if you're Garland,
I think it's an easy laydown if you're Garland here with move all in and a call all in. The only thing you got to be scared of is, did maybe one of these players have King Queen? Did they call with King Queen the open end, and now they have top pair? I mean, sorry, they call it top pair.
remember,
and now turn open end.
Remember, Dan check raised all in on the turn. Dan is from up front. He check raised all in. I mean, would Dan do that with King Queen?
Yeah, probably not. He'd
Yeah.
probably bet out with King Queen.
Right. So Dave is called, and Garland's called. Garland makes
Garland's
the
the
call.
worst shape here. Oh, wow.
And the river here is a 9.
Changes nothing.
But it doesn't change anything because Dan's 8 is going to play for a straight.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody with a king would have won, but nobody has a king, obviously. And
Yeah.
Dan wins this whole pot.
That was an interesting hand because 2 players made 2 pair. Again, if you're Garland, you might take into the fact that you might not give necessarily a lot of credit to seat number 4. Maybe he had King Queen. And you might think that you got seat 4, but he's just putting the rest of his chips in because he's really short in
Yeah.
chips. In a deeper game, if that guy makes the call with a deeper raise, I think you can get it out of the hand in between.
Yeah, the only thing I'm wondering is if maybe does Dan... It was only another $40 to Garland to call. So it's $40 to win about $200. And he was probably thinking, well, 5-1, maybe I have the odds to call this. So we'll see what happens. Now, it's interesting here. I want to throw this at everybody. And I'm wondering what you're thinking as well. The other day I was playing a pot with Hollywood Russ. And anybody familiar with our big game knows Hollywood Russ. And it was a raised pot, and I had 8-9 suited. And I called the raise along with 4 other players. Now, Hollywood Russ obviously played this hand really bad, but we'll get to it later. Anyway, the flop comes out 10 Jack Queen. Okay, so I flopped the bottom end of the straight. And I was a little bit, it's not a flop I love in a raised pot, obviously. I'm scared if somebody has exactly ace-king. But I make a pot-sized bet to see where I'm at. Okay? Now, this player, Hollywood Russ, raises me, and everybody else folds. And I looked at Hollywood Russ, and I asked him, I go, Hollywood, Russ, do you have ace-king? And he goes, no. I go, really? You don't have ace-king? He goes, no.
Yeah.
I go, are you lying? He goes, no. I go, would you lie to me? He goes, I would lie to you, but I'm not lying. I promise you, I don't have ace-king. I go, really? He goes, no, I don't have ace-king. I go, well, if you don't have ace-king, then I'm all in. And I moved all in with what I know is the nuts if he doesn't have ace-king. And I'm just wondering, ethically, if I crossed the line there.
Wow, look at seat number 8. He made the call with 10 deuce offsuit. Garland brought this one in for raise with ace-queen. Thomas is going to call with pocket 4s over there in seat 3. And the Doyle Brunson hand for Clayton in seat 8.
Dave rebuys there for another 120.
Now here we go to the flop. Garland, the pre-flop raiser. And he's hit top 2.
Not
Now,
bad.
if that 4, these are the types of situations when you go broke pretty much automatically. If it's a 4, if you have top 2, you're going to go broke against bottom set. And you see it happen. It's something that happened. It's very unlikely someone's got well, of course, not middle set in this case, but I'm saying like if it was smaller cards. Because you've got top 2. Yeah.
If it's ace-queen 4 here, hey.
Yeah.
All the power to you, Thomas. Well done, buddy.
Right.
The only way you can get away from it is if you absolutely know that player will not move their money in with less than, top 2 pair or a set.
Right. Garland's going to bet here. With top 2. And Clayton's thinking about something. He's got no hand here. Guess playing just the Doyle Brunson hand for the hell of it, Dave. And Thomas is going to fold in Garland there.
Yeah,
He's going to take it. You had a monster flop against Hollywood Russ, too. And the funny thing was that, I had actually beaten Russ. I was playing him heads up. I had beaten him for about 1,500 in the 300 to 500 game, and then you took him out. You actually had 5 deuce of spades, and the flop had come out ace 3-4 with 2 spades.
Yeah, it was just a...
Russ came out in bet. I called with actually an over pair to second pair, which was the best hand against Russ, by the way.
Right.
Then you raised. I folded, and Russ actually only had a pair with a straight draw, and he hit 2 pair on the turn. And it gave a 1 card straight to a wheel. I think it was a 5 on the turn.
Yeah, exactly. So
but
the
you
board
were rolling on spades with your straight.
Yeah, the board was actually ace 3-4-5.
Yeah.
And I had deuce 5 of spades.
And you flopped the wheel with the flush draw.
And when he actually checked to me, I bet the turn.
And he check raised you the
me.
minimum. Yeah.
And I thought he had a deuce.
Right.
And I figured, well, I've got the deuce also, but I'm free rolling spades.
Right.
Let's get all the money in right now. And
Right.
it turned out he had 2 pair.
Right.
So,
Garland's got pocket tens here.
Looks like he puts a little raise in there. He does.
You know, I think it's oftentimes, as I've played with many viewers here who come down to the bike, some of the viewers always think that you and I are making moves on them when we race.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then the truth be told, I mean, I'd say 9 out of 10 times we've got the goods.
Right,
Hey, yeah, obviously
Yeah.
you and I are capable of bluffing, and we do bluff. It's part of the game. You have to. If you completely play ABC and you're always showing down great hands and never showing a bluff, well, hey, you'll never get any action.
Clayton's called here with ace rag, and Ryan's in there with queen 7 of spades. King 6-9. Well, this is the type of game, we talk about how Garland kind of plays it passively post-flop, but if he can raise a hand up for value like tens and get called in 2 spots by these garbage hands, he's going to win money, definitely, short-term and long-term in
And
this
you
game.
see how comfortable Garland is. Now, he's seen him play in the bigger games.
Right.
And I'm not sure if Garland bets this flop, or if he bets this flop, he might bet it weak. I remember I played with him in the 3-5 game, and I know he watches this.
Yeah.
Because this is great advice to him. Hopefully he listens. Oftentimes, let's say the pot was like $30. I think he looks like he bet about a $20 bet.
Yeah.
And it's a nice size bet, and he takes it down. Now, what I noticed was in the bigger game, the pot would be $120 or $150, and he would bet 40 into it.
Yeah, that's just...
And it kind of screamed, especially to a player who's experienced,
Right.
I don't like the flop. I'm a little scared. And a savvy player will obviously pick up on that. So I'm curious of what your take. Now, me prodding Russ there to see what he had, and when he finally told me the truth and told me he did not have ace king, and then I moved all in. Do you think that was unethical?
I don't. I mean, I think you can do whatever you want to do. I mean, it's almost like, the person that you are asking a question shouldn't really talk to you. It's almost like when a Daniel Negreanu asks somebody a question, you're kind of outmatched by someone who can read players well. You should just say nothing.
Right.
I don't think it's unethical.
By the way, how is this for a funny little anecdote from last night? I'm at the table with Negreanu and Mortensen.
Yeah.
One again. Carlos Mortensen is in the big blinds. Negreanu limps in, okay? He goes, I'm limping in blinds. He throws in the money, okay? And it gets around all the way, and he says right away to Mortensen, he goes, hey, Carlos, if you move all in, I'll move all in blind. We'll go all in blinds. Carlos goes, okay, I'll do it. Everybody else folds. Carlos moves all in blinds. Negreanu laughs, and he goes, I got him to do it, and he moves all in blinds, and Negreanu had pocket aces. And Negreanu had obviously looked and tricked Carlos Mortensen into doing that.
I don't know if that's unethical.
We were just laughing.
Ace Jack 3.
Obviously, Negreanu had limped in to make that play, and he convinced him that he had done it blind.
Dave's going to come out and bet here. He's going to bet $20. I got to tell you, man, when I didn't have any pros at my table, I was making some monster hands last night. I'll get to this in a second. Looks like Clayton's going to call with a gut shot here. He needs a king. We can see that Ryan has 1 king. So Dave's in real good shape here.
Yeah.
Seat number 8 is in the hand with queen 10. We don't have it up there. Turn is an 8 and the river's a 5. Clayton is going to not make it, and seat number 4 there is going to take it down. I was making some monster hands, Dave, last night.
Yeah.
I couldn't get anybody to pay me off. I had linked in with kings under the gun. Call, right? Like 5-way action. This was in the 3rd level. Flop comes king 6-9. 2 clubs. A guy bets. I raise. I'm under the gun. Everybody calls, turns a blank. I bet big again. I get a call, and the river's a blank, and no one pays me off.
Yeah.
I mean, I was accumulating chips, but not really. Didn't
No.
make any big pots. It was just incredible.
Well, it's
I
interesting.
mean, quads one hand.
And it's interesting. I mean, obviously, anytime you can double up and triple up in a tournament, you're doing well. But you've got to continually get those hands.
Yeah.
Especially when the blinds and the antes move up so quickly. In these 30-minute levels, they do move up quickly.
I can tell you, I saw an interesting hand too tonight. Just little interesting hand. Karina Jet was really short chipped, and she moved all in under the gun, for 3,000. Okay.
Okay.
And the blinds were at that
600,
point 600,
1200. So 1200 is going to the big blind's going to call blind.
Next to Act, Barry Greenstone just got a pretty good chip stack. Re-raises her pretty big.
Okay.
Everybody folds. She actually turns over pocket kings. He's got king 7 suited. He's re-raised with king 7 suited, figuring, with enough, I guess the way he's looking at it, with enough money in there, I'm going to get everybody out behind me. I know no one's going to want to play with me. I'm a big stack. I'm probably not much of a dog unless she's got a big pair.
She's getting 2-1. He's getting 2-1 on his money.
Yeah.
Well, you think about it. What were the antes? 300?
200.
200. So
Yeah.
200 times 9 players. You got $1,800 plus 12 and 8. You're talking about You're talking about $3,600 in the pot. You're talking about $6,600 in the pot.
Right.
$3,000 to call.
Right.
Hey, he's getting better than 2 to 1 on his money
Yep.
with an above average hand. Why not?
Now look at this. Dave has come out and bet here, and Dan, everybody check the flop. Dan's got a pretty big draw. He's just called. If he were to raise here, he probably would take it down, but he's just going to make the call. Dan has got a gut shot there to the 3 with a diamond draw.
Yeah. He's actually got, I want to say he's got a double gutter. A 7 would give him a straight as well.
You're right. Double gut and a diamond draw with 1 card to come. With the rivers of 5, it gives him a pair, but it's not going to be any good.
No.
This
He had
one
a-
might
he had a
just go
monster
check,
there,
check.
didn't he?
Yeah.
Wow. And the river there, 5 of spades. And Dave is going to put a little bet out there.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's going to put a little defensive bet. Looks like 8 chips, $16. There's another thing, too, that I've noticed that a great kind of play out of Moe's book, and I've used it a couple times in the 5-10 game. If everyone's checked the flop and shown no strength, and you pick up a nice draw on the turn, and you've got a bet, kind of a weak bet, in at least 1 caller, especially 1 or 2 callers, you can really pop it up there as a big summing bluff.
Yeah.
And the fold equity is huge, and you still might have the best hand making on the river. Remember, when somebody bets weak on
So
the
who
turn,
knocked you out, by the way?
Jesse Jones. I don't know who that guy was, but
Pro or a celebrity?
I'm not sure.
Not familiar with him, huh?
What I was going to say was that if someone makes a weak bet on the turn and you got a caller in between, that just screams weakness.
Yeah, the caller, obviously, if he had
Yeah.
anything, would raise it up on the
Right,
turn.
right.
Rarely is somebody slow playing on the turn after a checked flop.
We'll never see this again, guys.
And actually, sometimes you see Mo do it from up front too. But you can scope it out and make a check raise with nothing from up front if you see that happen behind you.
Oh, definitely.
You know.
mean,
The
how
funny
many
thing
times
is,
you
if
see-
you're savvy enough to recognize the fact that a guy might be doing that because everybody looked weak, you maybe as the original bettor or the caller can make the call and see what happens on the river if you can outplay the guy in the final
Yeah,
straight.
well, I mean,
You know,
there have been a couple times where I've played hands where, let's say it's raised pre-flop and it goes like 6 ways.
Right.
And you miss, but everybody else apparently misses too because nobody bets the flop.
Right.
And the pot is like $300, and it seems like nobody wants it. And then somebody puts in a little weak $50 bet to see if they can steal it. And it kind of screams like, I don't really want to take this pot. So you make a real bet of $300, and you come on the top, and you can usually take it down.
Ryan here is going to move all in with King 4 suited with a couple limpers. You know, I've known Ryan for a couple of months. I don't really understand his game, Dave. We were in a game, the 500 game. He moved over there with you, me, Hollywood Russ, and Ryan. And you had raised, and Ryan made a re-raise, and then Hollywood Russ moved all in. And Ryan sat there for like 10 minutes.
With like $100.
Yeah, it was like $100 left.
You know, I hate this. He annoys the hell out of me. I'm sorry. He just does. And he can take that personally. I don't care if he watches the show. He drives me insane, that guy. He just does not stop talking. And he's so loud.
Well, you remember, you know how I told you that I don't like someone coming up and doing this to me in the back?
Right, hitting you
He
in the
comes
back.
over and he punches me in the back.
Oh.
Like, and I told him, I was like, Ryan, stop doing that. And we got a call here with 8-9 of clubs. And 8-9 is going to take it down. Dan called it with
All
8-9.
in with 8-9 of clubs. Bad.
We're getting word that the guys from Card Shock are giving away, I think, a free That's Allen t-shirt. For the player that wins the most money.
Give away one of their poker t-shirts.
Yeah.
Go check it out at cardsharks.com. Button is in seat 3. No, but Ryan literally, I actually was laughing. I actually called Ryan's hand, and you know it. You were sitting at the table with me. It was kind of funny. I made a button steal. I had made it up. We were playing shorthanded last night, 2 nights ago. And I raised on the button with 5-4. And Ryan sensed that I was trying to steal, and he re-raised me to $100, figuring that I was stealing.
Right.
Okay. And then Hollywood Russ made it $300 to go. And Ryan only had like $120 left.
Right.
And if he had any real hand any real hand at all, it's an automatic call, obviously, because he's getting like 3-1 on his money. But he threw it away. But while he was sitting there waiting, I was laughing at him, going, "Come on, Ryan. It's obvious that you put me on a steal, so you re-stealed. You've got garbage. You probably got something like Jack High. Throw it away already."
We had a raise here by Jay with Ace Jack suited, pocket 5s,
wasn't going against
and seat 6 is called with King 4. We got 3-way action. Ace
Derek
Jack.
is flop. Oh, I don't think Derek is in the hand,
No,
actually.
we only
he's
got
not.
King 4, Ace Jack here, and pocket 5s. And
Seat
again,
9 is not in the hand.
yeah. 10, 6, 7 with a couple clubs. Turns of 4. Dave's open-ended now. Now, Jay did not make the continuation bet.
Yeah, I think this is an automatic bet for Dave here.
Who made that shirt?
But he does not bet it?
No, turn was
Wow.
a 4, and now Dan's going to come out and bet on King 4. Thinking he might have the best hand.
Well, why not?
I want to get that's Alan Button.
Jay's going to fold. And we're going to get a call. Well, we're still in the hand here as we go to the river.
I'm only gonna wear mine. That's
The river is a queen.
Are you talking about that hand early?
Dave is good here. I'm surprised Dave didn't bet the flop. The turn, I mean.
Yep. Well, he made the call,
Well, now he's going to check here. And then
and Dan is going to check it down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dave takes it down there
Yeah.
with 5s.
10-7.
Best hand, best draw.
So Donna looks like she's got the
That's
That's Allen
Allen shirt.
t-shirt over
Yeah.
there.
There's cardsharks.com. You can get your own t-shirts there. Check it out.
10-7.
The button moves over here to seat 4. Well, Sylvester is one of those live at the bike. You know, he just plays on every single level. We haven't really seen him play in a big game. I don't know if he's played the 500 game. It's interesting.
No,
that,
he
you know,
has. He's actually played the 1,000 game. He
Has
came
he?
in once.
There's interesting. There's quite a few solid 3 to 5 players, Dave.
Yeah.
Like a Gus, a Sylvester, a Francois. That they're comfortable just staying at that level. I don't necessarily, and even Alan, the Asian gentleman who's a
Yes,
prop here,
yes.
they're comfortable at that level, and they don't really move up right now. Now, I made the quick move up just because I realized that the 5-10 game, I think there's just a lot of money to be made there. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes they're weaker players. If you're
Well, I mean-
comfortable with the stakes, you know.
Yeah, it's obvious. You know, obviously, the higher stakes you play, if you're a
Right.
good player, you'll make more money. I mean,
Right.
you don't have to be a brain surgeon to figure that out.
Yeah.
You know, if you're beating the 1-2 game,
Yeah.
you know, hey, if you can beat the 20-40 game, obviously you're going to make more money.
Take tips.
But we know a lot of players that they play 10-20 hold'em, and they never move up, or they play 20-40 hold'em, and they never want to move up. They're just very comfortable there.
Dan raised it out of the blind there with Queen Jack of clubs. Looks like he's going to take it down.
Once again, we're live at the bike, folks. I'm David Tuckman here with Bart Hanson. You're watching No Limit Hold'em. It's an $80 restricted buy-in game, and the blinds are 2-2.
Button moves over there to seat 5. Got a little over maybe an hour and 15 minutes left in the show. Yeah, I think that I quickly realized, Dave, some of the things. I mean, we all have our pet peeves, and I quickly realized when I first met you what you don't like is someone trying to yap your ear off at the table when you're trying to concentrate on something, like in a hand, especially.
Yeah, I don't mind conversation. And one of
Right.
the reasons I like playing live poker is
Right.
because I like the conversation. I
Right.
like socialization.
Right.
I think that's fun.
Four-way action here. Queen 10-5, all clubs. Looks like the highest club out there was Jay, who's in the blind with deuce 7 of clubs, or deuce with the 7 of clubs. Dan is going to come out and bet here. That's $8. Well, I've seen Dan make this move a couple times. He'll bet into those 3 flush boards. Again, not necessarily a bad bet, because
Not at
unless
all.
someone has a big hand with
They
top
can't
pair,
call.
good kicker, or at least a high club, they're not going to call.
Dan's having a great night. He had a couple suckouts there with the 8 before. Actually, well, he lost it, but
Right.
earlier on, before you got into the booth, he won a big hand with Ace-Jack.
So you like the socialization of it?
I have to say, yeah, I love that. I mean, I love if I don't want to sit at home playing on the internet, I got to tell you.
Right.
But I think there's an etiquette where if I'm in a hand and we're deep stacked and we're playing real poker for real money, I don't want somebody coming up behind me, hitting me on the shoulder and asking me like what I thought about the Jet game yesterday. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's just common sense.
Or actually,
really.
in this case, hitting you on the shoulder and saying, "What's your worst 20-40 day as a prop?" Or
Right.
You know,
I mean, whatever it might be, it's just a matter of like some sort of etiquette of like, talk to me later. I was actually playing a hand last night, and while I was in the big pot with Jennifer Tilly, this guy in seat 1 who was a poker pro, and I think he just didn't realize that we were in the middle of a big hand, he was flipping chips at his friend over Jennifer Tilly's head. And Jennifer actually looked at him and finally,
yeah.
a little annoyed and finally
Right.
just looked at him and said, "Can you stop? I'm trying to concentrate."
Right. 3-way action here.
And she's a sweetheart. I mean, I really like her.
King
really
6
sweet.
deuce.
She
Dan's,
probably thinks less of me now that I won that pot off her. But hey, poker's poker.
Dan's going to come out here and bet with middle pair.
I don't care how good looking she is. I'm not going to give her my money. And actually, she doesn't need my money.
Button moves over there to seat 7.
I'll tell you one thing about tournaments that drives me nuts. Well, it doesn't drive me nuts. It's just if I have a bad day in a cash game, I kind of kind of get over it really quick.
Right.
I go home, give my wife a kiss, play with my dogs, and I'm over it. The next day, I'm back on the tables. But losing a tournament, I guess it's so much more competitive. It's like a game. It just kills me. I swear, I'm like, it was eating me up last night. I was so mad at myself.
Dave, look at this. Pocket aces for seat 3, pocket aces for seat 4.
Wow.
How often does that happen?
Well, we're going to see the aces up there, and they're both going to be at 0%.
Yeah, that's right. Red aces for seat 3, black aces for seat 4.
And unless the board comes out with 2 red cards or 2 black cards,
Yep.
they'll be drawing dead.
Now look at this. Thomas, who's the buddy of Dave in seat 4, has limped in with aces, and Dave's going to race. So let's see if Thomas is going to go with the limp re-race.
And obviously not just 2 red or 2 black. I meant 2 suited cards. Sorry.
Yep.
The table is broken.
Now seat 8 is going to call Clayton, but I think that Clayton's probably not going to see a flop here.
No, this is obviously going to get back to Thomas, and Thomas is probably going to re-raise.
Now, if everyone folded in between, maybe seat 3 just smooth calls.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen here. And the funny thing is, look at Thomas and Dave are buddies here.
Right.
And the most annoying thing is they've got aces against each other.
6.
They both obviously work together for CardSharps.com.
He's going to raise it up.
15 more chips.
And this is one of those hands that's kind of funny. I always laugh at people playing live at the bike, and I always tell them, I go, it's really exciting for you guys on the table, obviously.
Right.
But for us, we know the results.
Right. So it's $30 more. Let's see. Now, if you're Dave here, do you ever play at KG where you think, limp re-raise, if I call, no one else is going to come in behind me?
You might, but this is your buddy. Do you really want? I don't even know if these guys play against each other. Are they trapping each other?
Well, he's going to just move all in.
Yeah, and everybody else is going to fold, and obviously Thomas is going to call.
Yeah. Now, the hand is not necessarily going to be a tie.
No, obviously we can
Yeah.
get a 4 flush.
Right.
If the board comes out with 2 or 3 of the same suit, one of those players will be free rolling.
Here's a question for you that I do not know the answer. What are the odds of having a 4 flush with a 5 board, a completed board? Like, how often does that happen? Got to think it's less than, 3%, 2%?
Yeah, probably 5 or 6%. I don't know
Yeah.
exactly. Offhand.
I called.
Hey, look at him.
Ace, king, and
I think C4 thinks the other guy's got kings.
Yeah, and look, he was laughing because he's got his buddy.
Same damn thing.
ace.
Yeah, and they both show the cards.
Black ones?
And they all laugh. and they each win about $10.
Yeah.
Live. No, I don't see a live.
Would have been interesting had they left. It would have been interesting had they left the player with Queen Jack in there. He would have flopped an open in the straight draw, but would not have gotten there.
Right.
That would have been the preferred way.
I actually had a hand today in the 5-10 game, and I limped in with aces under the gun. The player to my left raised it up to 60. Everybody folded, so I called.
Yes.
And the flop came 5-5-6. I checked, he checked. Turn was a rag. I bet he moved all in. I called. I knew exactly what he had.
Right.
Unless it was a tie, and I won. And he had kings.
Problem there with raising it. How much?
Ace king suited here for seat number 7.
I was not surprised at all. I played with, I actually got to play with Marconi last night also in the
That's right,
10-20
yeah.
game. And now we actually got to see him play, but I wasn't overly impressed with his play.
Really?
In a cash game? No, I wasn't. I mean, I have a lot of respect for him. Obviously, he's a great player. You can't win the World Series of Poker without being good.
Well, I don't think that he played that bad on the show, though.
No, he didn't at all. He just didn't get many hands.
Raise 4.
Got a raise here to $8 with ace, king, and diamonds.
When he went all in, I figured you had to back.
And let's see what Derek is going to do here.
Well, he said I had the same damn thing. I figured it.
Dave, are you watching? Is this the hand where Negreanu goaded Carlos into putting the chips in the middle?
No, this is actually a hand. There's a hand actually where I beat Negreanu.
Oh.
And there's a link, and I can show everybody 2+2 the link, where I won the pot, but Negreanu tried to steal it.
Look at this. Derek has got
The
got a wheel. Oh, this is funny. You definitely need to tell everybody the link here in a
Okay.
second. Yeah, it's pretty funny. You can see your head bobbing in on the side.
I thought he was taking my money. What are you doing, buddy? Dan here with an open-ended straight draw. He's got the top end of it, but Derek's got the wheel.
Yep.
Derek also has backdoor flush draw.
It looks like Derek checked it from up front in seat 9.
Dangerous check, man. It's a dangerous check. That kind of board there. Any club comes off. Any 6, any 7 comes off.
Well, again, is this the type of situation where you really want to go for the check raise because you can't necessarily bet enough on that flop?
No, even a deuce comes off. I mean, but you don't know if anybody's going to bet this, do you?
Well, Dan made the bet, and Derek is going to raise. But anyway, sometimes we often talk about a really connected board where you have a hand that really you don't almost want to see a turn card, but you go for the check raise to jam money in there as opposed to betting out. We're going to see a $50 check raise here, 50 more by Derek. Jay bet. And Jay is open-ended here, but he's got red cards on a black board. And it looks like Jay is going to lay it down here. And actually, Jay actually made the bet, with ace-king. I'm sorry, I thought he had 6-8 of hearts. He made the bet with ace-king, and he's not going to get involved with it. So, Dave, you're going to actually post up that link on the little forum there, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So everyone can check that out. It's kind of funny, right?
Yeah.
Does he see audio, too? Or we don't know?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We don't have speakers.
He tried to steal it from you?
Well, he was just. I mean, he was having a really good time. Everybody was having a good time. You know, it's an invitation. It was a free roll. I think everybody kind of realized. You know, a shot of LA Poker Scene there. Check it out, lapokerscene.com. You can also go to Live at the Bike on the right-hand side. Click on LA Poker Scene. The home of the $500,000 free roll.
That's right. Use the deposit code 5X500K. Get you 5 free entries into Stage 1 tournaments.
Yeah, I think everybody. I mean, you saw it too. I mean, I think everybody since it was a free roll, and they realized, you know, it's not like the top 27 got paid. Since only the top 6 got paid, I think everybody realized it was a real long shot to make money in this thing. So everybody was just having a good time. You know, I never drink when I'm playing poker, and I had a bunch of Heinekens.
Right.
Maybe that's the reason why I had 34,000 in chips and then none.
Oh, well, you came up to me. I was whining and dining myself in cocktail hour, and you're like, "What's that?"
I know.
A beer. Drinking a beer, Dave.
You know, hey, well, I went there to win a tournament. I went there to play serious, and I had 1 Heineken, and 2 Heinekens, and 4 Heinekens. And you know the lightweight I am.
Right.
You know, 4 Heinekens later.
Limped around here. 7-way action. Queen 10-7, couple diamonds. You know, the funniest thing about this is it's called me crazy.
Top pair for Jay here. Jack kicker, sorry.
Call me crazy in a cash game. Obviously, that's going to be a hindrance to your drinking. But if you want to, if you think that the right strategy to play is somewhat reckless in a tournament, you'd probably rather be drinking in front of a tournament than you would be in a cash game, right?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, if you're playing for real, I think you could play reckless and play aggressive without drinking. Put that into your strategy. Drinking really to me, drinking really just hinders your judgment.
Dave is going to bet here, and Jay is going to raise with top pair. Dave bet with the open-ended straight draw, all in, and I think that it looks like Dave is getting the proper odds here. It's not much more. He's going to make the call.
And you can see the odds here. Now, it's not quite 33% because Jay had the backdoor straight draw.
Turns of 4, rivers of 3, and Jay's going to take it down with the queen.
And obviously, the turn and the river came out a little too quick for us to get it down there, so the odds weren't getting
I don't think I was good.
calculated.
Could have had a little 2 diamonds. 2 little diamonds.
Thank you.
I mean, some people actually claim that they go, well, drinking makes me play a little more relaxed and I can play more aggressive. Well, and I mean, I guess that's anything. I mean, like a lot of people will say, well, I can pick up on women better when I drink, you know? Or I can, I dance better when I drink. And that's basically because you're not insecure and you just let yourself go. And I guess that could help you if you get a little scared when you're playing poker. But obviously, if you're going to be a professional poker player, you got to get over that.
Right.
Or you become an alcoholic.
Although some of the good tournament players drink all the time, like Ben the Master, Scotty Wynn.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, and then the master kind of helps when you get, you have your corporation feeding you chips.
And
Did I say that out loud?
I've seen Ben the Master get really, really sloshed. Live at the Bike, Dave Tuckman's views do not necessarily reflect the rest of the staff of Live at the Bike or the Bicycle Casino.
No, they don't. Man is obviously a
the
good
views expressed by the host of this show does not necessarily reflect the parent company.
Does not necessarily. How about does not definitely? Mendon Master is obviously a great tournament player, but you know as well as I do, if he walks into a casino and plays in cash games,
Right.
you know, I think most cash game professionals are happy to see him in a game.
Ace King here.
7 more.
Derek is going to raise it up.
I mean, the same as like Phil Hellmuth, you know. A lot of these players are tournament specialists. Scott Fishman readily admits, he goes, I'm a fish, and no pun intended there. I'm a fish
Right.
in a cash game.
We have a raise here by the Derek with Ace King. Seat number 3 is going to call Queen Jack offsuit. Seat 4 is in there with a Jack 10 of hearts. We're going to see about a, I don't know, say what, $45, no, $50 pot. Here we go, 5 ways. 8, 7, 5 here. Misses everyone, Dave. No one has a pair. Absolutely nothing.
I mean, nobody's got a pair, nobody's got a draw. Funny though, Dave is actually the favorite. If you look at it, if all 5 hands were to stay in, Dave is the favorite. One of the reasons being is because the ace, you can see an ace out already, and I guess Dave has got backdoor flush draws with a gut shot straight draw.
Well, the turn's a 7. Now he's got a flush draw over cards. And this is a clear time. If everyone checked the flop, you would bet
Yeah,
here.
now look at the percentages here. Now, somehow Clayton has actually got a 19% chance of winning this hand. I guess if a 6 were to come.
A 6, a deuce, or a 4, you would
Yeah,
win,
a
right?
6, a deuce, or 4, that's not a heart.
Right. This is a nice semi-bluff here by Dave. He's going to bet the pot.
But Dave is the favorite here. Dave needs a 9, a jack. No, a jack wouldn't do it. I'm sorry, a 9, a 10, or a heart.
Yep.
But obviously, I think the bet is going to take it down.
Yep.
He needs a new hat because he's definitely not fast and furious.
Slow and calm. Slow and mellow.
Well, seat number 8 here, Clayton, is thinking about it. I don't really know what he's thinking about. He's going to fold.
And look at that. Looks like David Tuckman has once again inserted foot into mouth. Mendon Masters coming onto the show on March 8th. Great, well done there, Tuckman. But I am just hitting on all cylinders this week, huh?
The river would have brought a 6 of hearts, so he would have made the flush there at the end.
Well, you know what? I'm curious to see how Men plays in the game then.
Yep.
Hopefully he will, for his sake, he'll have me eat my words.
No, I got to tell you, from what I remember, I mean, when he was here at Legends, we had a 30-60 Omaha high-low game that we were playing in. The game was built around him.
Yeah.
It was...
I wasn't even suited.
Well, I mean, you know what? I mean, I really want to keep Live at the Bike, real. I want to keep it politically incorrect, and I want to keep it as honest as possible.
Right.
But I mean, people that are inside the poker world know that the all-in move, when somebody goes all in, and now that you have to show your cards, that was developed because of Mendon Master, showing your cards all in.
We got a raise here by seat number 9. He's got pocket 6s, and he's going to bring it in.
He's raising more this time, though.
He's going to make it $20, 10 chips.
I know. I hope I can do it this time, too.
Not me.
And it does not, well, let's see if Garland's going to stick around here. Can't see how many chips seat 9 has. Doesn't look like he's got that much. But look at Clayton. Actually, he does have a lot. And, well, Garland was out of position, so he had 6-8 suited. And Clayton is going to make the call. Ace, Queen, 4 here.
Derek's still in the lead, but hard for him to know that, huh?
Well,
but he has position on him.
He raised it pre-flop, and Clayton's missed, so probably check bet here is in order.
With one more card.
And that's what's going to happen. Oh, he's going to move all in here, Dave.
Well, I don't think he's not moving in, but Clayton's.
Right. Yeah, Clayton only has maybe 50 left.
Exactly, so.
At that point, I mean, the pot is about 25. What are you
Right.
going to do? Bet the pot when the guy's got
Exactly.
like
It's one of those
40
tournament moves where there was actually a play last night where, a guy bet into me. It's only got 2,000 chips left.
Yeah.
The pot's only like 1,500, but I tossed a $5,000 chip in there.
You know who's sitting to my right also
Who?
today? Isabelle Mercier.
Oh, she's a hottie. She's
Yeah,
great.
she's cute.
She's really sweet, too.
That
I know you
little-
got to talk to her
that-
during the
that-
World Poker Tour
that
ladies event.
French-Canadian accent. She had a lot of chips. She got like 60,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wrong.
Hey, again, I wanted to ask you about the Olympics. Did you see the U.S. team and the Canadian team both fizzle out?
And I also saw the U.S. team lose to Canada this morning in curling, or last night, excuse me.
Yeah, I was on the edge of my seat for that one.
I distinctly remember my
Yeah, I actually meant to TiVo. The game was on at 5 a.m., the hockey game, yesterday morning.
Yeah.
I meant to TiVo and I forgot.
Yeah, I watched both the Canadian game and the U.S. game.
Did you
Great
wake
games.
up or did you have TiVo?
Actually, you mistimed it a little bit. I believe the U.S. game was on at 7:30 in the morning.
You woke up and watched it?
Yeah, I did.
Was it a good game? It was only one goal, right?
It was a good game. Yeah,
Yeah.
the U.S. team actually, they
Well,
played
you
hard.
called it. You said that they were probably going to lose, but they're not going to get blown out necessarily, right? Yeah.
But the game of the day actually was Russia versus Canada.
Yeah.
Fantastic game.
It was like up to like NHL playoff caliber games.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even better, maybe even better than that. It was phenomenal. It was 0-0 for the first 45 minutes of the game. Russia scored early in the third period to make it 1-0, and then they scored with 30 seconds left to ice it. But
Like with an
phenomenal.
empty net goal.
No, it wasn't an empty netter, but it was
Yeah.
just it was still a phenomenal game.
Clayton's going to make the raise here. Actually, it was Dan that made the raise with Queen Jack, and Clayton makes the call with pocket nines.
Who needs cards?
Yeah, we've been through this before. Too many cards.
Anybody not familiar there? Alex in seat 2. That's a new player.
Thomas makes the call on the button with pocket fours. And Dave's going to call with ace rag suited here.
4 players.
And he actually has the only ace because Derek is folded. So here we go, four-way action.
Ooh, look at the 9.
Wow, Jack 9-5. Clayton's got a set. And Dan, who's the pre-flop raiser's got top pair. He's going to get in trouble here.
Yeah, I don't know if Dan is good enough to get away from top pair. Is he?
He bets 40. Well, I don't think that Clayton's got much money. And the thing about Clayton there is I'm surprised that he just called pre-flop. He was really short.
Yeah.
He probably should have re-raised pre-flop, right?
Probably, and obviously Dan's going to call this.
Yeah, of
And
course
Dan
he
is
is.
in bad shape.
Well,
Look
Dan
at-
doesn't even need to call anything. Well, the turn's a queen. He's got top 2 now. And the
river's a
river
9.
is a 9, and the guy makes quads.
Wow.
Quads on the river. Nice hands.
So I guess Clayton's probably 100% there, huh?
Yeah, I would think so.
Pretty impressive. Now I'm gonna a little plug out there for Olympic hockey. If you love hockey, if you love hockey, wake up tomorrow and watch it because it's going to be phenomenal. And if you just are mildly interested and you're not quite sure what good hockey is like, you should watch the games tomorrow. We've got, I think it's Sweden versus Czechoslovakia tomorrow morning, and then and the other game is actually Finland versus Russia. And you're talking about some of the best hockey you'll ever see. I mean, it's phenomenal.
When is that game?
Tomorrow morning, both games.
Like Stanley Cup caliber.
Oh yeah,
Because
these
usually the games in the NHL playoffs are really low scoring, right?
yeah, these games are
Yeah.
the games you'll see tomorrow morning are phenomenal.
You're gonna watch them?
I am gonna get up early.
You're a big hockey fan, right?
I'm a-
High caliber hockey.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, I mean,
Yeah.
if you're a casual fan, wake up. It's worth it.
Yeah.
And if you just like hockey just a little bit, or you're not quite sure what hockey's about,
Yeah.
and you only want to see one game a year, tomorrow might be the game. You know, it'll be a lot of fun.
Finland against Russia?
Finland versus Russia.
Yeah.
And Czechoslovakia. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, Finland versus Russia and Czechoslovakia versus Sweden.
Czech Republic, right?
Czech-
And
all right,
is
Czechoslovakia.
Hasek the goalie?
No,
Czech
Hasek actually got injured,
Oh.
and it's Thomas Bokun.
But he's still good too, right?
Oh, he's amazing.
He plays for Nashville?
He plays for Ottawa,
I don't know.
but he's injured now.
No. The other guy from.
Oh, Bokun, yes, he does.
Yeah.
He's very good.
Well, we had a raise here by looked like seat number
6.
2 players.
6, and
Yeah.
Clayton made the call with 3-4 offsuit. Actually, you know what? Clayton brought it in for a raise, and Dan called him a big blind.
Oh, okay. Well, Clayton bets this again. He makes the continuation bet. He'll probably take it down.
Going the same flop that I had
But
called.
look at this. Dan is going to
Well-
bet right out there.
Now I wonder if I got the action right there. I thought that maybe Clayton limped Dan raised, and Clayton made the call.
Okay.
A little bit difficult to
Makes
see.
a little bit more sense,
Yeah.
obviously.
7, 18.
It's like we're going to get a chip going up here pretty soon. Yeah, I will TiVo that and watch it before.
Blinds, please.
Do you have any excitement about that? Say, like whatever's coming up, like the World Cup of Baseball. Do you buy into that at all?
I
Whatever
could care
trying to
less
do?
about it.
Yeah.
The World Baseball Classic.
Yeah. Do you like baseball though, like in the World Series?
I do. I like
Yeah.
baseball, but it's just, I mean, it's already from like what, March till October. They play 162 games. I
Right.
need more.
Right.
You know what I mean, if there's ever a sport that I needed a little bit more of, it would be football.
Right.
It's not baseball. And the only reason I'm kind of jonesing for the hockey tomorrow is because I'm not a big fan of the NHL regular season.
Right.
I love the NHL playoffs, but NHL regular season kind of bores me.
Play for whatever reason.
Ace king here for Jay in the big blind in seat 7.
We haven't heard much from Jay. He plays real ABC, real solid.
He's going to raise it up.
Raise it up, Jay.
You know, the funny thing is that when I was playing in the tournament, Jay told me all these stories because I think he was watching you.
He was right behind me. He was sweating me
Pretty
almost
intently.
the entire night.
I said, Jay, how did you get in there? Because he had a press pass. He's like, I just went up to the booth and said I have a blog, and they gave him a press pass and they let him in. Jay's blog.
There you go.
Yeah.
That works. Well, I was wondering too why he was there, but he was
Yeah.
sitting behind me the whole time, and he was really, really nice guy. I mean, he was supporting me the whole time.
Yeah.
Um,
Jay makes the raise, and Dan is going to call. He limped in the
and
small
he's
blind.
badly dominated.
Well, ace 8-5. Jay's got top pair.
Well, Dan got lucky. He didn't catch a king.
I play on poker cards, not very much.
If he catches a king, he's going to lose a lot of money there.
That's all I do.
Again, Dan is one of these players. I think he plays a lot of stud. He's trying to make the transition.
And look
lower
at
than
these
all of them.
odds. 97% to 3%. I mean, Dan would need what?
Running sixes, right?
sixes?
Yep. Running sixes. Jay's going to bet. Dan takes it down. Yeah, Dan, you know, we know him from the casino playing high-low.
Right.
A lot of high-low stud. I think he likes playing on the show, you know, so his family can watch him. And with that, he's trying to get better, so I see him now playing more like $200 games, getting some practice. And I think he might realize that this is the future of poker as well.
Well,
You know?
you see a lot of players. We saw Joe Wynn, and we talk about Joe Wynn, who won the stud high low bracelet in 2000.
Not Action Joe Wynn. This is
Right,
a
different Joe Wynn.
Yeah.
He won't play on the show
Right.
actually. But he won a World Series of Poker bracelet, and you see him playing almost exclusively no limit hold'em
Right.
because he sees that it's the future of poker.
Sign up.
I don't necessarily, like, you know, he just plays it so ABC. Like, if I were to back someone,
And there is Alex, by the way, in seat 2 with the hat.
I would tell this to him, too. He's not probably one of the best players here in terms of no limit. I just
Oh,
think
I
he
don't
just
think
plays
so,
it
yeah.
straight up, you know? Sometimes he doesn't understand when you and I make moves to win gigantic pots with these somewhat marginal hands. He doesn't get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
Four-way action here.
Jack 4-3, all clubs, and
Ass will type in.
see everything up there right now. The best hand is actually, I want to say Clayton with 5-3. Now Dave has the best club, and if anybody best, they're going to take this down. And this is interesting. Let's see how it goes here. And
River's a deuce.
well, now Clayton's open-ended with
Except
fourth
that it's,
pair.
Except that it's the
Okay.
fifth card. The turn was the 9.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, see, that's what happened.
Well, then he's still good then. 5-3 is good.
Right.
Clayton's going to win this. The nuts.
All
Yeah, some players don't understand. Like, obviously, when we were playing with Hollywood Ross that one hand, I think a little bit of advertisement is important in the sense that if you show a player a bluff just once in a while,
Right.
that you're capable of doing it, you plant that seed later on. And we talk to Mo about this all the time. If you never make a move ever, well, then why would anybody ever give you action?
Right.
Right. Now, obviously, sometimes the players aren't paying attention anyway, and you still get action. We see it all the
Well, the
time.
thing that Mo, you know, if you look at Mo, how he's changed his style, he's definitely come a lot more solid than what he was a year ago when we started this show. But he knows when he can make a move and against what type of person.
Exactly. He
you
picks
know?
a spot here and there.
Yeah.
Looks like B-Dub1, Barry Woods, is done with his massage. He's on.
Did your wife massage him?
Yeah, I believe my wife gave him and his wife a massage tonight.
Oh. Over in what, Calabasas or something like that?
Yeah, he lives somewhere in the middle of nowhere. I don't even know.
Four-way action here.
Lives up in like Mendocino, I think.
Sylvester's flopped trip kings, but Derek's got a better kicker.
Wow, look at this.
Ace, king, king.
Now this could be interesting. This could get chopped up though. Derek's got to dodge a lot of cards here. Obviously, dodge a 4, and anything higher than an 8, and it's chopped up.
Now, Sylvester comes out and bets right away. And now, the issue here, again, you know, against a player that plays it pretty straight up, that wouldn't check raise with a flush draw here, if you take a lot of heat here with king 4, you can lay this hand down. People make crazy and say, what, you got trips?
Yeah, this is really interesting. I mean, look at the percentages here.
Yeah.
And then this is actually percentages of winning the pot, and the rest of it is a chop. So you're talking 61% chance of
61%
tie.
of the time it's going to be a chop.
I mean, you think of all the cards. I mean, it's got to come out runner like, you know, deuce, 3, 5, 7, or 8. Or 7, I'm sorry.
He's going to raise it to 50. And the way that I've seen Derek play, I don't think he would do this with an ace or a flush draw. I think you've got to know if you're Sylvester, this guy has a king. And now the problem here, if you're Sylvester, like you said here, is that because the ace is out, the guys in the blind, if you had a random card, which Derek has here, you're most likely going to chop. But if you put the guy in the king, there's no way that you have the best hand right now. And do you want to get
There's
involved?
a lot of hands there. I mean, you got to look at some hands there. You go, I mean, if Derek has king 10, suddenly the percentages go way up.
Right, right,
You know, if he has king jack, well, then he might definitely take it down.
right.
I mean, you got to know if you're Sylvester, you're putting in money to get a chop.
I mean, would you lay a hand down like this in this situation?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Obviously, we're privy to what Derek
Right,
has here, but
right.
yeah, I mean, we've seen Yoshi Nakano do it all the time.
Right.
This is an easy muck. You know, you read Doyle Brunson's books and stuff, and he tells the same thing. He goes, in this case here, your trips are garbage.
Right. From what we've seen from Derek tonight, although, I mean, he has played some garbage hands, but I don't think he's necessarily, from what I've seen of him, capable of making this move with an ace or with a flush draw.
And you got to think, okay, well, if the guy has a, and you also, from the way you're playing it, you got to look at it this way. The way you're going to play it the rest of the way is completely defensive.
Right.
You know, if you make this call,
All in.
Well, Sylvester's just going to move all
he's
in.
going to move all in, and Derek's going to call. And, you know, unless Sylvester gets really, really lucky, you know, this is going to be, well, unless Sylvester's almost drawing, well, there it is.
Turns a queen. They're going to chop it up here. Rivers is 6.
Actually, they could have caught a 4 and an 8 still.
Right,
but
4 and 8 would have been live.
I was
there.
going to say, I was trying to say, if Sylvester catches a 4 and only a 4 to win this pot, Derek obviously had more outs.
Look at this post here on 2+2 by Baron Vangorto. And I want to say that, Baron, I'm still throwing that off of my producer. And maybe we might be able to get that kind of Mo versus Barry, or excuse me, Mo versus Corporation Mike talent when they play in the game over the next few months. See how much each one is up or down over the next, and see what players, what people think that they might.
I'm sure the IRS would love that.
He says, I keep precise notes on my live play, and I do better drinking than not drinking. Not because I play better, but because my play doesn't get as bad as people think. It will become because I'm drinking, i.e. people alter their impression of me so drastically that a negative EV act becomes a positive EV move.
Yeah,
So he's trying to change his image up.
Well, I can definitely see that. I mean, a Mike Caro type thing. He says, sometimes he'll dress up funny and stuff like that and put on an act. And I guess that's kind of like what I did last night in the sense of I was playing, acting like an amateur celebrity, and I was acting like I was drunk.
Yeah.
But I think I actually got a little drunk. So I took it too far.
Raise. 2 more chips.
No, if you do that much, it's worth 13.
2 more.
It's definitely worth
4 players.
it. If you didn't play that much, and his is over grand amount.
We're going to see 4-way action here.
Sixes are
Ace, 5, Jack here, a couple of diamonds.
you're paying.
Dan in seat 6 has got a diamond draw.
I know, I'm thinking.
Now, again, in this game, and I know sometimes, and Dan does not bet on the flush draw. I think that's a perfect time to bet in position with the ace out there with the
Oh,
flush
I think
draw.
you have to.
I mean, if you're going to play 10 deuce of diamonds, I can't believe he didn't bet that on the flop. What I was going to say is, if you look at the really good players, you start with some of the fundamentals. If you want to become a better poker player, you should not be playing 10 deuce of diamonds. I know it's a low-stakes game. They're just having fun, but it's just not a hand that has absolutely no value.
Exactly.
The river's a 6 of clubs here.
Rarely will you be able to win a big pot with 10 deuce. And some people will say,
And Dan, it got checked to Dan again. He never bet. He could have
Derek's gonna
taken
win
it
this.
down.
Yeah, Derek wins this with an ace.
He could have taken it down.
Now, the interesting thing
Well, I don't know if Derek would have called the flop. Though.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Some people will say, oh, wait a second. Now, Doyle Brunson, not only did he win 1 World Series of Champion with 10 deuce, he won 2. A little different. He played it was heads up in a no-limit hold'em tournament where the blinds and antes were escalating highly. You can't really wait for premium hands there. It's a lot different.
Right.
In a cash game where the blinds are 2-2 right now, and they're going to be 2-2 5 hours from now, 10 hours from now, tomorrow. There's just, why not wait
Right.
for a better hand?
King Jack suited here for Derek in seat 9. Looks to be probably the best hand here.
I got to tell you, I'm disappointed that you're doing the show with me. Obviously, I would have rather you win the tournament and still be there. But at the same time, I'm glad you're here.
So, every day. Yeah. And, but I play.
The funny thing is, it's just the way that tournaments go, Dave. Like I said, for people that are joining the show, I started with 9,900 chips tonight, as Derek's going to raise. I doubled up right away. There was an early position raiser that had King Jack. I thought about it, and I looked down in the big blind at King Queen offsuit. the blinds were escalating. I was going to be in position, but every hand I take, I lose through the ante. So I said, king, queen, I'll take it. I made the call, and I dominated him. I doubled up right away at about 18, 19,000. Then I had pocket kings. I got all in pre-flop against ace queen, and I lost.
You got in a tournament. Obviously, you've got to gamble a little bit. You got to take moves. I mean, the one cardinal rule that I've always lived by in a tournament is never call your money off. Always move in. That way, you have that added fold equity. Unfortunately for me, and I'm getting to it slowly, I moved into aces. Never a good move.
Well, Thomas is going to call here. Early position with ace rag, and Dave's got queen 10. Derek the pre-flop raiser, and Thomas hits strips with the ace. And once again, for some reason, if you're in there with ace 6 offsuit and a raised pot, if he throws a bet out here and he takes heat from one of these players, if you're in a deep stack game, you have to realize and not jump out of your seat with ace 6, that this flop might not be the greatest flop for you if you take a lot of heat, because you could lose big.
100%. This is one of those flops where generally you're going to win a small pot or lose a big one.
Right.
The other night I was actually stuck in a hand. I was playing in a 5-10 game. Now this was a short-handed game, and I was bluffing and kind of mixing it up. And the flop came out similar to that. I actually had ace 9, and obviously it didn't come out. Well, ace 9.
This is going to be interesting because Derek is going to raise here, and what I was going to say was that again we're playing kind of shallow. He's making a move here, but with ace 6, if you were in there for some reason, say you had called with ace 6 suited or something in the blind, and you were really deep, are you going to continue on with this hand out of position?
Yeah. In a real deep game, you're not. I mean, it's what I was going to say, though. It's tough to bluff out these players.
Right.
A lot of them, obviously, trips are the nuts. They're not going to throw that away.
And can Derek even call here?
No, I mean, it's an easy laydown.
Well, I don't, if you think that the guy
has what?
Yeah, but if you think the guy has a flush draw or has a 9, he's got overcards to the pair here.
Yeah, but, I mean, you got to start being realistic. The guy bet, you raised, and now he's moved all in.
Poker office does too. I use poker office.
You made a move on the guy.
That is annoying, though. If they don't show you the
Buck hands is.
I mean, unless the pot is laying you like 10 or 12 to 1.
Yeah.
If it's like 4 more chips, yeah, okay. But if it's anything more than that,
You see it real time.
Right. You have to, rather than wait.
you got to throw it away. I was going to say, the other night, actually, I was playing.
There.
Yeah. Good looking out there. I was playing the other night, actually, against a player who I had been kind of bullying around, and it was a girl. And I had taken a couple of big pots from her. And I thought she was ready to kind of try to make her stand against me. And I was in the big blind, and she was in the small blinds. And she actually had ace jack, and I had ace 9. And the flop came out with 2 aces. And I really thought, and there was another king out there, so it was ace, ace, king. And I really thought that she had the king, and she was kind of figuring that I didn't have it. And I was betting the entire way for value. And she called me down with ace jack, obviously.
Right.
And I remember on the river, I actually bet $400 into about a $400 pot, as a value bet, thinking maybe she'd call me with a king, thinking I was bluffing again. And she turned over ace jack, and she looked at me, she goes, is this any good? And, I was doing my best to, not wince and cry, but obviously she called me and took the money.
You also remember a hand that when we were playing four-handed with Hollywood Russ where I had trip jacks with a king kicker and Russ had trip jacks with an ace kicker?
Yeah,
at the river, and I checked the river to deuce a bluff, thinking I had the best hand. And Russ checked behind me with ace jack. I could have really went busted four-handed.
I remember there was a one-line straight out there, and that obviously slowed him down.
Yeah, but I never even.
Ace 9-3 here. Alex has got pocket 8s, but Clayton has the best hand with 9-10.
Yeah, David's also got the second pair. He's got a 9 also.
It gets checked to Sylvester. He's going to bet.
With absolutely nothing.
Well, he gets checked to you. There's an ace out there.
Why not? Take a shot at it.
Take a shot.
And the question is, when everybody folds and Clayton is in last position, does Clayton bet? It's a surprise Clayton didn't take a shot at it in the cutoff seat.
It's also funny, this is interesting, this board, on a rainbow board like this. If you make a bet and a tight player makes a call from up front, depending on how you want to play, and you talk about putting money in the pot, you and I like to put money in the pot, you've got to think that someone's not on a draw with that type of flop. And now, if you want to continue with the hand, you've got to think, well, how much do I need to bet here to get the guy off of a weak ace, right?
Yeah, I mean, we always point out, actually, a flop like that, ace-9-3 rainbow, that is the perfect flop to bluff on.
Right.
Because if somebody calls you, you pretty much know they do not have a draw.
Right.
Now, sometimes we say if the flop is, say, ace-9-8,
right,
double suited, and you bet, it's hard to put your opponent on a hand, Are they calling you with a draw, or are they calling you with a made hand? Who the heck knows?
Yeah, there's some guys I don't care if it's $50.
And it's funny, we keep bringing back that point when you and I were playing four-handed. There was a hand where we saw this guy full pocket kings to an all-in pre-flop, and you took him out. The guy had ace-jack on an ace-high flop. I had raised pre-flop. I checked, he checked. You bet. He
On the
called,
button.
and I knew what was going through your head. You're sitting there on the turn realizing, how much do I need to bet this guy off of a weak jack? And he turned over ace-jack.
A
I
weak
thought he
ace,
had
right.
something like ace-6 or something like that, you know?
11 to go.
We get a raise here by seat 3, Thomas. 11 more out of the blinds,
11 more. It's an interesting race.
and he's going to take it down.
No secret what the other one is.
Thank you.
Got about, maybe 40 minutes left in the show here.
A year and a half.
Once again, we're live at the bike here. David Zuckman here with Bart Hansen. You're watching No Limit Hold'em.
You can email us at live@thebike.com or take a look at Card Sharks.
Yeah, we do appreciate it.
We want to thank you. To thank those guys for bringing in the Bats Island shirts, Thomas and Dave. Ace King here for seat number 2, new player.
It's such easy money, you know?
Get an email here from Philip Gogler. It says badly dominated. He says, well, Dave, how can someone be badly dominated? If you're dominated, wouldn't it be bad every time? Well, not necessarily. See, my wife dominates me, and I like that.
Don't even go there. Sylvester brought in for a raise with pocket deuces. Alex is going to make the call. Jay had limped him with an ace-jack suited over there in seat 7.
Scared me to death.
And there actually are times where in a card game, obviously, you can be badly dominated and not so badly dominated. Let's say you have ace king of hearts and I have jack 10 of hearts. That's not quite as bad as, say, ace king versus ace jack.
Jack 9-9 here, and Jay's got top pair, and he leads right out.
Garland's got trips.
Yep, Garland's got trips. And ace king over there for seat 2. He's going to fold. Let's see how Garland, he checked it from up front,
And this is the perfect example why you and I sometimes mix it up.
and he's going to check raise.
Now, if Garland was in a big game and Garland check raises here, is there any way you would give him any action with a jack?
No
Of course
way.
not. Right. Now, if I make this move, though, might you give me action with ace jack? You might. You might not. It's up to, obviously, you've got
Right,
to,
right.
It depends on the situation, but you might.
You could be doing this with queen 10, something
Right.
like that.
Would Corporation, if Corporation Mike made this
Well,
move.
Jay's going to give him action, though. He makes the call.
Well, we say sometimes at this level, people aren't paying attention.
Yeah.
Garland's only played about 4 hands all night.
Turns to 7.
And Jay is officially in bad shape. He needs a jack and only a
And
jack.
Garland's going to continue to lead hard at him here. Again, would Garland really make a check raise here with king jack?
Yeah,
Jay
and
makes the
Jay's
call?
going to move all in.
You
I
know
mean-
that Garland would bet a jack there probably,
Yes.
right? With the high kicker.
Yeah,
the Rivers
Jay's
is
got to
right.
realize that. And Garland's going to double up. Well, not double up, but he's going to make Jay go broke there. Jay's just got to know the players he's playing against. No Limit Hold'em. You talk to good players, and No Limit Hold'em is all about knowing the players you're playing against. You got to. I mean, if Corporation Mike were to check raise there and you have ace jack, hey, you might call him down the whole way.
You might move over the top of him. You never
Well,
know.
you might just call him all the whole way and
try
let
to
him
catch bluff.
Hey,
yeah.
let him bluff into you if you think he's bluffing.
Right.
But if Garland is doing that, well, he's probably got it.
Button moves over here to seat number 4.
We do appreciate your emails. Keep them coming in. Live at the bike. Politically incorrect. And Alex is going to fold. We haven't seen much from Alex there in seat 2. And Thomas is going to raise it up here with ace-9. Not a hand that I really put much value to. But he's going to raise it up in the cutoff seat. Buys himself the button. And he's got a position here.
Garland's going to call pocket 7.
Yeah, that'll probably keep. That'll probably, you imagine, would keep Clayton and Derek in there. And it
Clayton's going
does.
to call. Derek's going to call. I really hate that hand, queen 10 offsuit, dude.
I like Queen 10 better than Ace 9, though.
Well, here we go to the flop.
Well, Ace 9 has outflopped him.
Ace 4 king, couple clubs. Well, Queen 10 and Jack 10 both have gut shots here.
I mean, in a
Each other's
multi-way
cards.
pot, would you rather have Queen 10 or Ace 9 offsuit? I mean, at least Queen
In a
10.
multi-way pot.
Yeah. Oh, heads up. Obviously, you want the highest card. Ace high is going to be. Ace 9 is going to kill Queen 10 heads up in the long run.
12.
But in a multi-way pot, at least Queen 10 is some sort of connection straight possibilities.
Thomas is going to bet, looks like 12 chips, so $24.
Into about a $40 pot. Wow, and Clayton is going to take one off here.
Yeah, Clayton really doesn't have enough money to do this.
He's got a gut shot, but it's 2 clubs out there. and He
Yeah.
does not have a club in his hand.
Yeah. He needs to catch a queen. There's only 3 of them left. The turn's an 8.
I mean, unless he thinks he can represent clubs, but you got to remember, in a game like this, is it really worth trying to get tricky?
20.
Now, this is a situation here. Again, we're in a shallow game, so it doesn't apply here. Where what we were talking about earlier. With Ace 9, you bet the flop and you get a call. It's a two-edged sword. Do you really want to build the pot up with Ace 9? But if you check the turn, you might give the guy a free card on a straight draw or on a club draw.
I was going to say, on a board like this, I think you have to bet it because the player did not raise me. I would rather bet it one more
And
time
then just
in a
check
turn
it down on the
and
river.
then check on the river, exactly.
Right.
Because I don't want to give him the free club.
Sometimes I will put in what is kind of like a weak bet, maybe a half to a 3/4 size bet on the turn. The purpose of that turn bet is so that I can get a free showdown on the river.
Exactly.
Because if you check the turn, you might face a full pot size bet on the river.
Yeah, and
You know.
And once again, you might let the player get there. I mean, what if he checks there and a queen comes off?
Right.
And you're just mad at yourself because you gave the pot away.
Right.
I like playing.
I mean, if in doubt, raise. I mean, if in doubt, bet. I mean, that's always my
Especially
thought.
small games, I just do range. Yeah, I start calling any bets and stuff like that.
I just noticed that when I'm playing well, I'm betting and I'm raising. When I'm playing poorly, I'm calling. You know?
As long as the people are nice, you know. But if everybody's just sitting there not saying anything, then it gets boring. Yeah.
You think the games are easier live or?
Online. Well, it depends. It depends.
I find this much easier than
Getting word from Barry Woods here on 2+2 that he's sick. Hope he doesn't get my wife sick. Get a little upset about that.
Buttons in seat
Okay,
5.
here's a shocker here. Barry Woods goes into last night's game, and obviously he did well. I'm glad he did well. Friends with him. Said there, I played one of my better games last night, but failed to fold 2 hands where I was beat. That's shocking. Wow. I mean, it's amazing. Barry can always get away from those hands.
Holy smokes, $1 dollar. That's how you take the range.
I love to just jab him, you know? Just needle him.
9 chips.
It's less if everyone's cool like that.
Right now he's sitting at home going, that mother.
Oh, he's probably going to make some sort of comment about your wife being at his house.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Raise here by seat 4. Dave brought it in for deuce 4 clubs for $18, and he's going to take it down there.
Take it down. Neither player wants to call with ace-9, which is probably the correct way to play it.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to say, one of the reasons I like queen 10 offsuit better than ace-9 offsuit, and I don't like either hand, really.
Almost as good as
But
that.
the only reason I like it better is if by chance I flop an open-ended straight draw with queen 10, it's a good chance that it's hit somebody else. And if I get lucky and hit my straight, I might win a big pot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Flop comes out king, jack, blank, okay? Somebody has ace, king. They bet. Maybe I raise. Maybe they call. If I hit my ace or I hit my 9 there, I might win a big pot. Now, ace 9, man, I can't. It's really, really difficult to come up with imagine a way where I'm going to win a big pot with ace 9. Offsuit, that is.
Got a raise here under the gun by Derek. He's got ace queen suited.
9 chip total.
He's going to make it 18 to go.
Just pretend you're playing a 2-5.
Now, the thing about Barry, I mean, we give him a hard time about not laying down hands. But once again, I mean, the weakness. I'm not really a fan of Corporation Mike's game now, but he's 100 times worse than Barry. I mean, Barry is. You know, Barry's a lot better than when he was in terms of laying down and calling hands. But Mike isn't even close to where Barry is in terms of laying down hands.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean, he'll call with anything.
Well, the thing with Mike is he has to. The reason he calls down a lot of people, and
Yeah.
it's part of the way he plays, is he realizes that other people realize that he's in there bluffing a lot.
Yeah.
So he knows that people are playing back at him with less than premium hands. So that kind of causes him to sometimes call. He knows that if I play back at him, let's say I'm in a hand with Mike, and Mike raises me, I'll
look
get
at-
to it in a second.
Look at this. Derek raised with ace queen, and Dan called with ace 4. And is Dan going to get hurt on this hand? The flop comes ace 8-10.
Yeah, we talk about Hold'em being a game of kickers.
Yep, he's going to come out and
And
bet.
ace 4 in bad shape here. Look at the percentages, folks.
Now, if Dan could get away from the hand, then fine. He can play ace 4 for a raise on the button. But if he's going to continue in there. Now, the issue here is that, okay, if Dan calls here on the flop and doesn't pick up a club draw here on the turn, well, the turn's a club draw. Now he's going to stick in there. What I was going to say was, if Derek comes out and bets again, is Dan going to get away from it?
Yeah, well, he's got to if he bets again. But in this case, now he's got the club draw. Might you raise this?
Well,
I mean, is the hand strong enough to raise?
again, though,
If you
if
put
he's gonna
Derek
come
on
out and
nothing.
fire twice, I don't think you can put Derek on anything, and you want to see the card.
Yeah, is there any fold equity
Yeah.
in this game? I'm not sure there is.
Dan needs a club or a 4 here on the river. The river's a 5.
Yeah, an 8 or a 10 would have paired the board, and obviously they would have chopped it up.
And this one's going to get checked down, but ace queen's going to take it down.
Pot is mine.
Take it down, Eric. Take it down, Derek. Now, on that river, might you bet again? I mean, I got to tell you, I do if I'm ace queen out of position.
Especially if you're against a player like Dan, who's going to call with ace drag there. Yeah.
I put my opponent on a weaker ace than me, and I'm going to continue to bet it.
Right,
Because ace king, the king didn't change anything. If he had ace king before that, I was beat anyway.
right. There's Corporation Mike.
And Corporation Mike, and then Hollywood Russ behind him. Now, what I was pointing out there, Bart, the interesting thing is, now if you're a player that mixes it up as much as Mike, right?
Yeah.
Now, you have to understand, obviously, Mike raises all the time. And he knows that a good player is going to come over the top of him
Right.
with hands like, I mean, let's say Mike actually has top pair, and Mo comes over the top of him. You know, there's a good chance Mo doesn't have anything because he thinks Mike doesn't have anything.
Right.
And I think that sometimes causes Mike to call more often than he should.
Right. Now, I didn't say, a little confusion here, but I didn't say that Mike was 100 times worse than Barry. I said Mike was 100 times worse than Barry in terms of calling down on hands.
I don't know. What I heard was Mike is 100 times worse than Barry. I think that's a soundbite I heard, and I think that's a soundbite we'll use.
Well, Barry Woods here is written on 2+2. I feel so much better after having spent the last half hour naked with Tuck's wife. King 7-4 here with a couple of spades. Dan's got a spade draw.
Scary thought. Isn't it a scary thought? It's funny, too. My wife came home and told me about Barry and said, man, what an ugly, ugly, wrinkly man.
Oh, we got a bet and a call here. It looks like Thomas bet and Dan called with a spade draw. Check, check. The river here is an ace.
Dan's going to win this hand? With a 9? No, I'm sorry.
No.
Thomas got a 7. Okay. And Thomas is going to bet it.
Yeah, he's going to come
Do
out.
you think he
bet.
needs to?
Well, if you come out and you bet the flop, right, with a 7, and now the turn comes king, would you check it to the guy?
Only if you're inducing a bluff.
I mean, and Dan checked right behind him. He took
Yeah.
the card on his spade draw.
Well, if I'm going to check the turn, I probably wouldn't bet the river. But different strokes for different folks, huh?
Yeah.
Got about 25 minutes left in the show tonight. Once again, you can catch us Monday through Fridays from 7 to 10 p.m. And we will be on tomorrow night. Unfortunately, neither one of us made it to the final table because we both suck.
Well, let's take a look at this chip count here. This is what we're at now. Let's take a look at the differences. Well, Dan's up
Wow,
$260.
big night for Dan, huh?
A lot of money in this game.
Oh, huge. Garland up $220. I mean, we're talking about an $80 buy-in game. Derek up to $200 there. Rest of the table is pretty much down.
Sylvester here is in the blind with ace jack of diamonds. Dan's going to raise with queen jack. And Stephen Murray's going to call a 6-5 offsuit here on the button. Sylvester's going to call. And Sylvester has Dan dominating. And Dave's going to call with the up and down suited cards. King 4.
Those are the cards I really try to stay away from. Those up and down cards have very little value in any hold'em game.
8-4 deuce here.
Oh, what do I know? He's outflopped them all. Now 5-6 is an interesting flop.
Double
5-6,
gutter.
yeah, double gutter here.
3 or 7.
One thing I'll tell you from commentating the show and watching this game, I've gotten so much better at picking up double gutters.
Yeah. Look at Dan. He's going to make a big continuation bet. And Clayton, again, he probably shouldn't have called the pre-flop raise with 6-5 because he only has about $30 left. He makes the call on Dan's bet.
Now, you've got to be aware of how much money you have if you're calling with these speculative hands.
The funny thing here for Dave is, can Dave make this call? I mean, Dan has put out a continuation bet. The guy in between's called all in. I mean, how do you know where you're at here?
Well, the funny thing is that right now, the reason Clayton is 45% there is because a 5 or 6 are also good.
Yeah, but when Dave's hand folds, Clayton's probably still a favorite with 2 cards to come. Oh, it's 51-49.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
Clayton's got any 3, any 7,
Yeah.
any 5, any 6, and we're pretty much coin flip here, folks. And there's a 6.
Yep, turn to 6.
Oh,
Oh, the River's
man.
a jack, and Dan's going to take
Well,
it.
you know, I mean, all the money was pretty much in right there and then.
What I was going to say was that maybe that was taking into account some dead cards that we didn't have up there, but usually no pair with no pair against, say, a flush draw, an open-ended straight draw, the no pair with the draw is favored, 2 cards to come.
Yeah, and it was 51-49. Well, I mean, if you add it up there, I'm trying to think. He actually had 14 outs. And anybody, if you know, a little quick rule of thumb: if you're heads up with somebody and you have 14 outs to the win, generally you are a very small dog.
Right.
I mean, like 49, 48%. If you have 15 outs, you are a favorite. Kind of a good way to figure it out. If you have 9 outs, that's like a flush draw, which gives you about 35%.
The button moves over here. Seat number 9. How much does your wife charge to dominate? How much is it for a massage, though, anyways? Do you know?
For a massage?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know?
I don't know. It's her business. I let her do her own thing.
Like King 8.
Yeah, massaging and dominating 2 different price ranges.
Once again, Tuckman, insert foot in mouth. The only thing I'm happy about, I got to tell you, is that my wife was actually at Barry Woods' house and not watching this webcast. Because I'd be sleeping on the couch. Now, my wife.
Luckily, you don't give out your wife's email address.
No,
here on the webcast.
I definitely do not. Definitely do not.
Lived around here.
No, my wife is an absolute god for putting up with me.
4-way action. Queen 8-5 here with a couple spades. 6-7 open-ended here.
Yeah. And if he bets it, he'll probably take it down.
Nobody has top pair.
And
Well-
Thomas is going to bet, though, with a 9-5, bottom pair.
Actually, he's got middle pair. He's got
Oh, thank you.
8-4.
And Dave is probably going to call. And he does.
Well, Dave is chasing there.
Yeah.
He's next to act. He's going to call with an open-ended straight draw with a few people behind him with a 2 flush. I usually will fold that hand when next to act. Sylvester
funny.
makes the call with bottom pair.
Yeah, generally, if you're seeing a player at these lower levels or players that aren't that experienced in the Ultimate Hold'em, if they're calling very quickly, they usually have a draw.
Now look at this. The turn is a 7. Dave's picked up the best hand. He's open-ended now, but Sylvester here has got he's got a straight draw with a pair of 5s.
Actually, Thomas still has the best hand here with eight pair.
You're
of
right.
eights.
You're right. And he folds stuff.
He threw it away now. Now he's got the best hands.
Yeah. And you can see the odds there. Dave's in
And
good
Dave
shape.
does not want 2 pair.
Nope. Here we go to the river. The 9 would not be good for Sylvester. It's a king.
That's one of the reasons Dave is such a huge favorite there, is because the 9 is not good.
Now it's the 3rd spade, so let's see how this one's going to go.
Now, let's see if Sylvester can get him up the hand. I think if Sylvester bets big here, he's going to take it down.
Well, he check called the flop, then he bet the turn. Dave really can't beat much here. I mean, he's
No,
only got a
he
pair of
can only
7s.
beat a bluff.
Right.
He can only beat a bluff. I mean, Sylvester's certainly not going to be betting a 5.
Now, what you said,
Right?
though, remember you said players at this level, when they're on a quick call, usually means they're on a draw. And he's going to bet $80 here.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't-
wouldn't you think that he might be on spade draw, though, and you're betting right into the draw
Well,
that he
that's the
made?
thing. I mean,
Yeah.
you're calling the turn because you have a draw, and now the only thing you can say, oh well, I can't beat a queen, I can't beat an 8, I can beat spades. Well, now I can't beat spades. I mean,
If you're
what-
Sylvester, you mean.
No, if you're Dave.
Well, what I'm saying, though, is that you talked about how Dave made a quick call, and players at this level, usually when they call quickly, they're on some sort of draw. Well, usually with that flop, you
Right,
look at
right.
it, there's a really good chance he's on a spade draw. Now the spade
Oh
comes.
yes, I mean Sylvester's obviously taking the risk that he's betting right into the nuts,
Right.
and I guess he was willing to take that risk, and he takes the pot down.
Yeah. I mean, I would think, again, because, I think that maybe sometimes I give players too much credit. If someone makes a quick call on that flop, they're more likely to be on a spade draw than a straight draw because it's a 2-flush out there on the flop. But again, maybe at this level, that may be too much credit.
I think at any level, it's almost too much credit. I've seen numerous times where people will call with a straight draw with a 2-flush out there, and they get there, and the flush card gets there, and they bemoan their bad luck.
Right.
Draws are really hard to hit. If I'm going for a draw, I want to make sure it's the nuts. I don't want to get there and still lose. One of those, be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. Big slick for Alex.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I know, I thought he said 20 more chips.
20 more minutes.
And then I realized what he did.
Yeah, that's right.
Reading Barry Woods' 2+2 post, he was explaining that one of the hands that he could not lay down was against Jay. And those players that are familiar with Jay does mix it up a lot. He's very similar to Mike, that he will really gamble it up. And it is tough to lay down a hand against Jay. I will give him that.
Not this Jay in seat 7.
No, definitely not Jay in seat 7. But Jay that frequents the big games.
We had a little raise here. It looks like by Sylvester with 8-9 offsuit on the button.
And did Alex re-raise with ace king or no? Did he just smooth call?
Just a call.
Wow. Well, the flop comes up 5-5-10.
Well,
two
Jay's
clubs.
got the nut flush draw with an overcard. See if Jay bets in here.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's got anything here. If he bets it, he'll take it down. The power of semi-bluffs here. He's got to bet it.
I checked.
Oh, man. And Sylvester checks right behind everyone. Turns a queen.
And still nobody has anything here.
Now
but
if it gets checked to Jay, you have to bet, don't you? Oh, and then it checks again. Here we go to the river. The river's a jack.
well, ace king gets there. Ace king's got a straight now.
Alex backed into a straight.
Yeah, and Jay's got to realize he's the semi-bluffs. You have to bet.
Oh, and look at this, though. Sylvester backs into the ass end of it, too.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You got to realize that in a raised pot, though, this is the exact hand that I was worried about when I had 8-9.
Yeah.
And Hollywood or us actually had pocket aces, by the way. And I wanted
And
big
seat
pocket.
number 2, Alex is going to come out and bet with the ace king. And let's see if Sylvester's going to raise.
I don't know if he's
It's
going to.
a $20 bet here.
I mean, to me, with a paired board out there and you got to be scared of ace king, I think it's a clear just call. And it's a
Think
prime
so?
call. I don't think you can raise this.
I think he's going to raise. He does. Well, no, he didn't just call. You're right.
I don't know what I didn't know what he was going to do, but I'm
Yeah.
saying what he should do. I mean, you just have to be aware of some things here. It's a raised pot. What can you raise with that you're going to get called with?
Right.
I mean, you can't beat a set of tens. You can't beat a set of jacks. You can't beat a set of queens. You can't beat ace king. I mean, what can you beat that he's going to call you with?
Did you get a chance to eat some of that sushi layout that they had over there?
I did. The food is rocking.
Before the
Yeah.
the event.
I actually like the cool thing about one of the great things about the tournament last night. We actually had a cocktail waitress who'd bring around food.
Oh,
It's all the
really? I
table.
was just getting beer.
Well, that's because you had a table that had nobody.
Yeah, we didn't
My
have
table-
anybody.
Oh, we had the cameras came to our table like 19 times.
Yeah, yeah.
Because of all the poker players there. Then with Cheryl Hines.
Yeah, you sucked out on Cheryl Hines, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Well, she's a pretty lady, isn't she?
yeah, she's a sweetheart.
Yeah,
I will say, yeah, I did suck out. It's funny, Scott Huff, who writes for CardPlayer.com and does
Right.
the circuit on Card Player, which we will be on.
Again, yeah, most likely
But-
we're going to be there tomorrow, so check it out tomorrow night. Yeah.
Scott Huff, though, I'm friendly with him, and he was kind of giving me a hard time. It was kind of funny because he was like, "So, that's why you're a pro, huh? You know how to hit those two outers, huh?"
Well, Jay's hit bottom 2 pair here, and Thomas has got ace rag. Let's see if Jay's going to... Well, Thomas is going to come out and bet with ace 5.
Well, I don't mind the bet. He wants to see where he's at. He also has the ace of diamonds, which makes his hand a little more valuable. He knows nobody else has the nut flush draw.
No. Again, when you talk about paying attention to players, once Jay raises, that ace 5 goes in the muck quicker
Definitely.
than anything
There's
else.
nothing you can beat anymore.
Yeah.
I made this mistake once.
Yep, and that's Garland talking about the Jack 10 that he got screwed on earlier in the night
Yep.
with 2 pair.
Learned his lesson.
Yeah.
Throw it away. And look at Jay. Jay's going to raise.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much a dead tell there. There's no way I'm putting money in the pot with Jay raises. And let's see if Thomas can get away from it.
Yeah,
And he does. Nice lay down by Thomas.
Shows the ace, then folds.
Yeah, give some credit to Thomas there. It's not easy to get rid of the top pair there, and he does it.
Now, my question to you is, say you had limped in with, let's say, ace-jack there. It was limped around, you didn't raise out of the play with ace-jack. You come out and bet, and Jay raises you on that board. How about ace-queen?
How about ace-king? I lay down ace-king.
You think so?
Yes.
With ace-king? You
Against
don't think
him, I
that
do.
Jay would have limped in with ace-jack or ace-queen and would have raised your bet on the flop?
I don't think so.
Or you just can pick better spots?
I can pick exactly. I can pick better spots. I'm like hoping for a draw. I'm like hoping for a draw.
Yeah.
It depends. I mean, if I've got ace-king there and the ace of diamonds, well, maybe I take one more off. But I don't know. I just don't want to give him any action.
Dave, we saw Jay take a brutal beat a couple nights ago in that game off of air.
And we're talking about a different Jay game. Here
Yeah.
we're talking about the Jay who plays in the bigger game.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jay had flopped a straight against top two pair.
And the
But
other-
somebody else with top two pair as well.
Hey, there's Alan. There he is.
Yeah, that's Alan.
There's Jay right next to him.
Yep.
So that.
Make it 6 chips.
Jay's a great guy.
There he
I mean, he's such a super guy. He's just
Yeah.
here to have a good time. There's Jay. Just here to have a good time. Plays a pretty aggressive game.
I actually don't think he's really that bad of a player, Dave.
No, he's not. He's an
Yeah.
aggressive player. He's not
Right.
bad at all.
Right.
He's here to have a good time. He's here to gamble.
Queen 4-3 here. Thomas has got a gut shot wheel draw.
I mean, in defense of him, we both know on, I want to say it was Tuesday night, if he doesn't get a terrible beat from Corey,
Right.
he probably wins $10,000 or $15,000 that night, and instead he loses $15,000. I mean, huge hand where he flopped the bottom end of a straight, and as you said, Corey had top two pair. And he only had 2 outs to the win, and Corey actually backed into the flush.
Yeah, running club.
Running clubs gave him a higher
The funny
flush.
thing about that is, poker players
Oh.
are really super. A lot of them are really superstitious. And the funny thing about the way that hand went down was Gil in the middle, another player that was in the hand, said, "Oh, I had Queen Jack too." So Jay asked Corey, do you want to run it 3 times? And Corey said, "Well, because Gil said that, I'm only going to run it once." Like it makes any difference when cards were dead.
And Corey was like, well,
Yeah.
I'm just going to gamble then. And for anybody knowing, the flop came out Queen Jack 9, and Jay had 10-8 for the bottom end of the straight,
Right.
and both Corey and Gil had Queen Jack. And Gil got away from the hand, but Corey could not. And before the turn came out, there was actually about $13,000 in the pot.
Seat 3 is going to raise here. Thomas has got queens.
Yeah,
Make
red
it 12
queens.
to go. And Garland here. He's made the call with pocket deuces. They've got enough chips. If Garland can flop a set on the ragged board here, well, ace 4-10.
Well, let's see if Garland can use his image against Thomas and take this one away.
I don't think he's going to get involved with it, Dave. No.
No. But those are the times where you can do it if you put somebody on. Remember, the ace is the ultimate scare card, and it scares you, but it might scare your opponent too.
Okay, you can raise with those.
Button moves over here to seat 5.
I had a 10. An ace 10?
Garland with that orange shirt, huh? Is that orange or red?
That's an orange shirt. Clearly orange.
I figured you were stealing it. So
Looks
I
like
was
a
giving you break.
big old tangerine.
Clementine?
No, a tangerine.
I
You like
just
clementines
to
or
show you down
tangerines?
to 7-3 or something.
Both? Yeah.
I'm the same as the Bears.
Make your 5 chips.
Raise here by seat number 9, ace 9 of hearts. Gonna make it 10 to go. Do you like candy corn?
Candy corn is one of those things that, during Halloween,
Yeah.
I can deal with it for a little
Right.
while.
Is that like eggnog for you in Christmas?
Yeah, I like eggnog a little bit more because
Yeah.
you can spice it. You can't do much with candy corn though.
Eggnog, you can spike it. You mean, look at that.
Yeah.
Garland laid down ace
Well, I
queen.
might spice it up.
Garland laid down ace queen offsuit on the button to seat 9's under the gun raise with ace 9 of hearts.
It's not a bad laydown. I don't mind that. You can pick your spots. You don't
Seat
need to
8
play
is
that hand.
called with 7-8 suited.
I mean, obviously it's a little tight, but it's not terrible. And look at this. He would have won a pretty big pot, but he wouldn't have known where he was at. We talk about ace queen. Obviously this is a smaller game, but you want to develop good habits in this game. Ace-Queen is a badly dominated hand.
Look at this. Clayton's come out and bet here, trying to get the guy off of a hand. And Derek is going to immediately raise here with an ace.
Yeah. Now, we both know, obviously, that that Garland would have been in great shape. But how does he know that? I mean, what do you do with ace-queen now?
My only issue here, too, especially in a game that's short stacked here, with ace-9, is a raise proper here? Could you just be kind of calling in position and hope the guy bluffs off the chips? Because could you ever be called here by a hand that's not going to beat you with ace-9? The guy is pretty shallow, Clayton.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, unless Clayton's got 4-5.
Right.
And he shows the ace. And now Garland's got to just wonder, was my queen kicker good or not? And we see so often in the big games. And, in this case, actually, Derek and Garland were both pretty deep. But we see so often people losing a huge pot with ace-queen. It's all a matter of, if you know your opponent and you know what they might raise with, and you think he might raise with ace-9 or ace-10 under the gun, hey, sure, go ahead and call ace-queen.
We got 5 minutes left in the show here, Dave.
Just flies by here, live at the bike, folks. Tomorrow night's game should be great. Tomorrow night's game is going to be, we've got our 10-20 no-limit hold'em game. Minimum buy-in is $1,000, but most of these players will buy in for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. A lot of money on the table tomorrow night. And depending on who shows up, the game could play even bigger. Should be a lot of straddling and stuff. And here we talk about it. This is a perfect example. Now, this time Derek has ace-king. Sylvester's got ace-10. And if an ace hits, you wonder what happens. Now, I think Sylvester's actually... Wow, he threw it away. Under the gun in first position, ace-10 offsuit. Decided not to get involved. But in the big blind, Derek is going to get involved with ace-king. He raises it up, and he's counting out the chips to see what he's going to raise. And he's going to raise it up another $14. Dave throws his hand away, Clayton throws his hand away, and Derek takes another pot down. He's been a big winner tonight. Well done. Derek's really hit it big tonight. Once again, we're live at the bike here. Catch us every Monday through Friday from 7 to 10 p.m. Pacific time. If you like the show, tell your friends about it. If you don't like the show, hey, tell your friends about it. Why not?
I had my heart set in that shirt. I thought it was
You want to post them?
I never bought a shirt in my life. You know that? I did them all free.
Kind of.
Yeah, you know. You have emotions, gifts from relatives. What is that? Parents who say,
Get an email here from Robert Valdez. Says, is $2,000 enough to play a serious 1-2 no-limit game with a $100 max buy-in? Say 20 buy-ins. And it probably is enough. It's hard for us to answer that question because, do you have a job on the side? Is that $2,000 needed? If you lose that $2,000, what happens to you? You're using your rent money or not. Of course, it's enough to start out with. And if you lose that $2,000, hey, maybe you take a break, you go back to your job, and you're working, obviously. And you can, always go back to it. Take a 2-month break and come back. But, yeah, I think that's plenty of money to start with. 20 buy-ins.
think he's getting out of line, Sylvester?
I'll give him some action.
Understand, obviously, you can easily lose a couple of buy-ins, 2 or 3 buy-ins in a night. And if you run bad for a couple of weeks, you could go broke in a couple of weeks.
When people start calling you down. No, they're not.
Hey, look at that. It's Philly Al. Coming in.
Philly Al Barbera, he had a great L.A. Poker Classic. Made a lot of money for him and a lot of money for Mo. Mo was backing him up in those tournaments. Flopped Queen 8-3.
We had a raise
Derek,
pre-flop
Yeah,
here.
Derek has hit a set of 8s here. Now, nobody has a queen. And if Derek slow plays it and a 9 comes off, Dave is going to hit a straight. But Derek is not going to slow play. He's going to bet right out.
He came and bet right out. And I don't know if he was the pre-flop raiser or not, but he's come and bet right out from the blind. Now that's Philly Al. He's got middle pair, 7-8.
Yeah,
and as you can see, he is drawing dead.
Yeah, absolutely, utterly dead.
And he's going to make the call. And Al might just be having a good time at these stakes.
And if a
there.
7 comes off, he's in trouble.
Here we go to the turn. Turns a deuce. And now Al's called pretty much all of his chips off. He's going to make the call.
And the funny thing with Philly Al here is, we see Philly Al, he'll play like He'll play
60-120 mix.
60-120 mix.
Yeah, yeah.
And here he's playing. I mean, it's not even one bet in that game.
Right.
Very nice. Nice flop. Your T-shirt here I come.
Thank you very much for the kind words, William. Appreciate it. Spread the word.
You thought you needed a flop? There you go. I haven't flopped a set.
William Frick.
I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's depressing to remember.
I know, it's too depressing to remember that last set that I flopped.
Button's going to move over here to seed 9.
Painful memory. I don't want to control.
And Al's going to rebuy here.
Nice bottom.
See a live straddle by seat number 3.
You're getting word from Barry Woods here that Jay actually won the 5-person shootout for $5,000 on Wednesday. Yeah, Jay's a real class individual, though. We talk about him all the time.
It's a little cool here. Look at this. B Shack has put a screenshot of live with a bike here.
Oh, that's great.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
And that's our new widescreen shot.
Yeah. We got a raise here. Oh, just a call. Look, I thought somebody said raise.
Deuce 5 of spades. I have a special affinity to that hand now.
Yeah, that was a great hand. C2 needs to show his cards. You can't see what he's got.
Alex, new to the show, is one of those new timers.
Well, King, Queen, 3
Wow,
here.
big
Dave's
flop for
top
Dave.
2. Now she's
Big
got
flop for
7-3
Dave.
offsuit.
Tell him he needs to show him.
He won't. That's right. He just
doesn't want to.
belligerent old man.
Well, seat 4 here's got the top 2.
The whole idea of playing on the table.
He's going to check it, Dave. 2 hearts out there.
Yeah, and it's kind of a scary. You have to realize. Oh wow, he gets the bet from Derek.
Well,
who's drawing dead.
he was 1 off of the button, too, so he's not necessarily going to get a bet from Derek there.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, he luckily got Derek to bet, and now he can check raise. But if Derek doesn't bet, I mean, isn't it conceivable somebody has Broadway cards? Isn't it Jack 10?
He's just going to call.
Hearts?
He's just going to check call. And like you said, I mean, Derek is literally drawing dead here.
Actually, it says 2%.
Turn is a 10.
I guess he can get running 9s. Well, now he's not, obviously.
Well,
now he can get
yeah,
a straight.
he can get a jack. That's
Now
why
he can
he's
get a straight.
2%. And
Yeah.
now Dave check called the flop, and now he's going to move all in here. And Derek's got middle pair with a pair straight draw.
Yeah.
$1 million.
I mean, in essence, that 2% would be specifically 10 jack or jack 10 on the turn and on the river.
Right,
For
exactly.
queen 9 to win.
Or
there.
9-9.
Oh, you're right. Or 9-9.
It'd have to be runner, though,
Yeah.
obviously.
He's check called the flop, and he's moved all in here on the turn. When it kind of gets scary. Oh, he's heads up here.
Now, the funny thing is, if Derek didn't actually bet that flop, and lucky he did for Dave, there was a player in there with Ace Jack.
Right, you're right.
And he would have backed him the best hand
Yeah.
here. And I got to imagine Dave would have gone broke.
Well, he don't. I'll show you.
Because obviously Ace Jack's not going to go anywhere now.
He shows the top 2. You're right. And that was a dangerous little way to play that.
That's right. I mean, I always point that out. You got to bet that flop and
Yeah.
hope just somebody has a king.
This is going to be the last hand of the night here.
You can't give up a free card there. There's
Join
just
us.
Too many scary cards.
Join us tomorrow for 10:20 no limit.
Oh,
Unrestricted bind.
Friday
Of course,
night's one of my favorites.
Live at the Bike, we webcast live cash games every Monday through Friday from 7 to 10 Pacific time. You can check out a replay of the show an hour after we conclude, all the way up until 5 p.m. Pacific time the next day, and also watch a repeat of the entire week's worth of shows on Sunday afternoon starting at noon Pacific time. Check out the archives if you don't have a subscription. Get you access to all of the saved material. Click on the archive on demand banner upper left hand corner of your screen.
Still, just
at
$14.95.
liveatthebike.com. Ace Jack suited here for Garland. Straddle by seat number 4.
I want to eat a little humble pie. I've got to own up and tell everybody how I got eliminated because it was a real, obviously I made a bad read on a player. Now, like I said, my table was real aggressive and I felt like I needed to make a stand. So I had raised the blinds at this point with 300, 600 with I think a $100 ante.
Yeah.
And I had raised it up about 17 or 1800 with
Yeah.
10 8 of hearts on the button. And Nick, the takeover Schulman, actually re-raised me in a small blind, and I thought he was making a move on me. So I moved all in, trying to make a stand.
And he had aces.
And he had pocket aces. He obviously called me, and
What did you have?
I lost. I had 10 8 of hearts.
Oh.
And I moved in with 10 8 of hearts, and he called me obviously with aces.
Now Garland here's got top pair. He limped in under the gun. And he's going to come out and bet with ace jack. Alex completed in the small blind with ace 5. Is he going to get himself into trouble? Nope. Alex seems like a pretty tight player. And of course, against Garland, Dave, you know, that's a no-brainer fold, right? But look at this. Thomas is going to take one off here.
Wow. Well, if Thomas catches a 9 or a 6, he's good.
Here we go to the turn. Turns a jack.
Well,
And now Garland's made 2 pair.
yeah, now Thomas needs specifically a 9 and only a 9, and that's going to be the end of that one.
Garland bets.
But I just wanted to own up to it. I mean,
Your idiotic play.
yeah, well, it was just a bad read, you know.
Asinine.
I like to say in no limit hold'em, you know, I really want to push. I don't want to be calling. You know, I thought the guy was making a move on me, and I figured, hey, I'll make a move back on him. Obviously, Nick Schulman's a good player. I didn't think he'd call with anything
Absolutely.
except a big hand.
Well, again, join us tomorrow night for a little 10-20 unrestricted buy-in, no limit hold'em. For everyone here in the booth, I'm Bart Hanson. For Dave Tuckman, good night, everybody, from Live at the Bike.
It's here. It's big. And it's closer than you think. It's not a tournament. It's what you don't see on TV. The cash is real. The stakes are high. They bet big. They win big. They lose big. High stakes live action poker. Live at the bike. Watch it live on the web or play it if you dare at the Bicycle Casino right here in Los Angeles.